Andrea.
The brands you trust, prices you'll like.
It's grillin', chillin', and spillin' time. Whether it's cleaning up the grass stains or the barbecue sauce or keeping the produce fresh or your favorite beverages cool, Amundsen's has you covered for appliances throughout your home or cabin so you can do what you really want to do this summer and just chill out. Amundsen's in Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, or Rice Lake or Hayward, or shop us online at Amundsen'sAppliance.com.
Then the best place to buy is Amundsen's.
Want to stop engine problems before they start? Pick up a can of Seafoam Motor Treatment. Seafoam helps engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Just pour it in your fuel tank. Seafoam is available where automotive products are sold.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Show that beats sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it.
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it.
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth.
It's your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time. Prime time.
What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. Dan Kasper Show on the air. Radio dials, you got a couple of those, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also online, you can stream us at sportstalk1051.com. App, Google, and Alexa home devices. Video stream also up and rolling on Facebook and Twitter and, of course, YouTube out there. What up, everybody? Hopefully you all had hopefully you're all off to a good start if you're up and at it already this morning on this Tuesday morning of June 20th. Appreciate you making this part of your starts here this morning. What do we got on the good old game plan? Oh, it was a rough night last night for the crew, and that's kind of putting it a little bit lightly there. Oof, Corbin Burns struggling right away out of the gate, allowing 6 runs in the first before the Brew Crew could even get up to the plate to bat. 6 runs at the top of the first. And, well, as we know, the Brewers are a team that they struggle a bit for their come-from-behind victories. And when you start off 6-0 before you even get up to bat, well, you're probably not feeling too confident in your ability or your team's ability to claw their way out of that one. And that's exactly what happened last night. Brewers just 1 run on 3 total hits. Yelich with a triple last night to get his average just a tick a little bit higher. 272 OPS, 807 right now. But not a whole lot else to kind of talk about from that game last night. Burns going just 5 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, just 3 strikeouts. Adrian Hauser, haven't heard of his name in a while, right? Seems like we haven't heard his name in a while, but getting in a little bit of a long relief appearance last night. 4 innings for Adrian Hauser. So, but one of those games maybe you just kind of brush to the side and kind of forget about. I don't know, but Brewers with a loss, and the Cincinnati Reds with the return of Joey Votto last night. Reds getting the win, and now we've got another new first-place team in the NL Central, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati Reds holding on to a half-game lead now. In the NL Central. So there you have it. Reds improving or extending their Their win streak up to 9. Up to 9 right now. But Burnsy, man, what's going on with Burnsy this year? He matched his career high for runs allowed and his career low for strikeouts in a start. He threw 86 pitches and induced 6 swinging strikes, the third lowest total for any of his 90 regular season and postseason starts. I mean, when you break it down like that in terms of nuggets like that, whew. So you look at Burnsy, and he's 5-5 so far on the season, 3.96. Thought maybe he was kind of like, all right, trending a little bit upward, maybe to the Corbin Burns that we kind of expected at the beginning of the year. High expectations for Corbin Burns, not just amongst Brewers fans, but all across Major League Baseball. There was huge expectations for Corbin Burns this year. Maybe you factor in a little bit of what happened with the arbitration hearing, where he was a little teed off, a little upset. Could he potentially use that as motivation to go out there and just have a lights out year and really kind of, maybe put the pressure on the Brewers to potentially trade him, so then he could go and sign a huge contract somewhere, or what, or just even earn a little bit more money. But this year, it's really been up and down for Corbin Burns. You go back to opening day against the Cubbies when he picked up that loss, 4 earned runs on 5 innings, just 3 strikeouts, also 3 walks. Followed it up with performance against the Mets, where he went 4 1/3, giving up 6 earned runs. In his second start, bounced back nicely in his third start against Arizona, where he went 8 innings and just 3 hits. I mean, you break it down by month. In the month of April, he went 3-0 with a 3.45 ERA. May, 1-3 with a 3.30 ERA. But right now in June, he's just 1-1 with a 4.68 ERA. So maybe do you have any level of concern when it comes to Corbin Burns at all? Do you, because he's the ace, right? He's the number 1 starter for this ball club. And I think we would all agree to a certain extent, he's probably not pitching up to the ace status or like a number 1 starting pitcher at this point. But do you have any concern with the way Corbin Burns has been pitching so far this year? And if so, where are you at on that? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at on that? Like 10 being like just totally freaking out. 1, nah, it's pretty much a 0. You're not worried. You're not too worried. And does it necessarily affect his trade stat, or not? Shouldn't say status, but value. Does it necessarily affect his trade value? Maybe a little bit, but I don't think it would affect it a whole lot at this point. But we'll see. Even if he is part of a trade package or not this year, we got a little bit of time yet before we get down that. Although, as we were saying last week, you're gonna start to see more blogs and more posts and more chatter about trade fits and who could be on the move and who should be on the move and which teams should be buyers and which teams should be sellers. And you got another one up on MLB.com where they picked a couple of Royals bullpen pitchers, including Chapman. The other one's Scott Barlow, as where could they be potential fits? And they picked the Brewers for one of those pitchers. Brewers, Dodgers, and Rangers, but that's the only one that the Brewers were listed under. They got a few other pitchers and position players, but would you say, I guess on top of that too, would you say if the Brewers were to be buyers, do you think that the bullpen is the biggest thing that they should buy for? Or where do you think they should buy? What position group? Or what position? So think about that for a little bit. Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, texting line, all that good stuff. We'll talk some Brewers and look ahead to today's pitching matchup with Nelson and Colin Ray on the mound. Kind of both pitchers having similar type of seasons, both for the Diamondbacks and for the Brewers. And I'll just tell you right now, not really a whole lot of experience between the two. So, but we'll recap a little bit from last night. Although I don't know how much more you could kind of say other than Brewers just got absolutely spanked in the first inning, and that kind of set the tone throughout the whole thing. So hopefully they bounce back and pick up the W today. So we're going to chat a little football coming up here too. I know we're getting, we got a little over a month yet from training camp and such. But let me ask you this one question when it comes to the green and gold. Is there one Packers player that you think is not getting talked about enough this offseason? Do you think there's an underrated player on this green and gold team that you think is not getting talked about enough, that you think be like, watch out for that dude? Or I think that dude is going to have himself a solid season. I'm asking you to make a little bit of a bold prediction here because, well, one is June 20th, and, season doesn't start till September, and training camp next month, and preseason and such. But do you think there's a player on this roster that we're not talking enough about? Or maybe on the flip side of it all, too, is maybe you're like, you know what? Let's make this a two-parter. The most, I don't know if I want to use the word intriguing, but the most kind of unknown type of player, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, I'll just kind of give you one that stood out when I was trying to think of how to phrase this. Darnell Savage. So the Packers safety, Darnell Savage. I don't know what the heck to expect from the guy this year, but essentially he's the number one safety. He's essentially the number one safety, and you had Matt LaFleur talk a little bit about it earlier in the offseason, saying that he's going to kind of build around him, going to have kind of focus on him, and having him be a bigger part of this defense. And it's like, well, what do you do for Darnell Savage to have a bigger part or a bigger role within this defense? So, kind of a two-parter. One, do you think there's a player that we're not talking enough about or isn't getting enough attention out there when it comes to this team heading into this upcoming season? And I guess the second part is, I'm trying, like, I don't know if I want to use the word intriguing, but who's the one biggest unknown player? Like, and obviously, I don't want to say that either, because a lot of people just say Jordan Love, but maybe intriguing is the best way to kind of put it out there right now at this point. And I kind of gave you my pick already, and it was Darnell Savage. So, like, or maybe most confusing player. Is that the best way to put it? Maybe the most confusing player. Like, you're just like, I don't know. And a little bit different than Jordan Love. Jordan Love's an unknown, I would say. Jordan Love's an unknown. Most confusing player. Like, you just don't know a whole lot about, like, maybe you're not quite sold on him or anything like that. That, to me, would be like a Darnell Savage sort of thing. So, think about that for a little bit. We'll get to that coming up later on as well. It is Tuesday, so we'll catch up with the Eau Claire Express coming up just past 8 o'clock. The Express fall into the first place Rochester Honkers last night, so they're back at Carson Park tonight taking on Rochester. Then they got a doubleheader taking on Lacrosse tomorrow at Carson Park before hitting the road for a quick trip to Rochester again, and then they're back for a Friday, Saturday. Kind of a weird schedule run right here. But we'll catch up with our good friends from the Express coming up just past 8 o'clock this morning. Right after that, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, Badger analyst. Badgers have been announcing their Hall of Fame class. If you've been paying attention maybe to Facebook or Twitter or social media or whatever, they've been kind of every day or so announcing some Hall of Fame announcements. And just yesterday, J.J. Watts was announced that he is going to be a part of the class of 2023 Hall of Fame. I don't think that's a big surprise to a whole lot of people that he's got that honor, but the Badgers are going to be adding 13 to the UW Athletic Hall of Fame class, and now J.J. Watts is going to be a part of that. So we'll chat with RJ, all things Badgers, coming up at about 8:30. It is Tuesday, so what is this Tuesday morning? You got something that's grinding in your gears that you want to kind of get off your chest a little bit, you can hit us up with those texts on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Or again, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, Twitter @DANKASPER. You can also comment on the video stream over there too. But what's grinding your gears? All right. Been kind of quiet with the grinding my gears, so I want some good ones. All right, I'm going to put the pressure on y'all. What's grinding your gears? Also, we got a Tuesday pop quiz that I'll get to you if I remember before the end of this hour, and it's going to be related to baseball. Okay, it's going to be related to baseball. Just that's the only hint I'm going to give you right now at this point. So I don't want to give anybody any chances to look up any answers or anything like that. But let's get things going here this morning, though. Coming up on the leadoff, we'll kind of recap that Brewers game last night, although not a whole lot to really recap other than that Brewers fell into a 6-0 hole. Corbin Burnes was off, and Brewers just couldn't climb out of it. There you go. There's your recap. So we'll take a look at tonight's game. But with the Brewers, threw out a couple questions to you. One, are you at all concerned about Corbin Burnes? The level of play, he's been very up and down, very inconsistent. I think that might be the best way to kind of describe what we have seen from Corbin Burnes so far this year. You know, you look at the month of April, 3-0, 3.45 ERA. Month of May, 1-3, 3.30 ERA. But the month of June, just 1-1, and his ERA was a 4.68. Last night, had that awful start. Go back to Minnesota where he had, 6 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. But back to Baltimore, he had those 8 innings of 2-hit shutout ball, 9 strikeouts. So what's going on with Corbin? Is he still – I'm sure some people are going to wonder, is he still reeling from that arbitration hearing and such? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. But what's your level of concern? And then the other part is, if the Brewers were to be buyers before the trade deadline, what position or position group should they be buying the most or buying first? You know, what position group should they be buying first? What's number one on their shopping list? So we'll hit that up. First up, we'll take our first break, and then we'll get to some baseball chat to open up things on this Tuesday morning. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
The Shoe Doctor is known for quality footwear. Remember, the Shoe Doctor can keep your feet comfortable during all the different outdoor weather and activities here in the Chippewa Valley. Work boots, casual shoes, sandals, and more from brands you trust like Keen, Merrill, Chaco, and Dansko, and that's just to name a few. Located on Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire, you can also visit them online at ShoeDoctorFootwear.com. The Shoe Doctor, quality footwear for work, sport, and fun.
Service Master of Chippewa Valley is your local expert when it comes to fire and water damage, carpet and air duct cleaning, mold remediation, and trauma. They're when you need them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Trust comes in the yellow truck. Learn more at ServiceMasterChippewaValley.com.
Now that you've gotten a few rounds of golf in, either for fun or for league, Let me ask you, how's your back feeling? Or what about those weekend-long softball tournaments? How are you feeling when you show up to work on Monday mornings? Been there. You're limping around and it's difficult to even get out of bed or your office chair. Well, stop limping around and complaining about that pain you have and do something about it. Make your appointment right now with Shepke Chiropractic. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So if you're dealing with some back pain from all those extracurricular activities like golfing or playing ball, or because of all those home projects that you're working on, help relieve that back pain by making your appointment with Dr. Logan Shepke. Plus, they have 2 locations to help better serve you. Your journey to a healthier, more fulfilling life starts here at Shepke Chiropractic. Make your appointment today at one of their 2 locations by visiting ShepkeChiropractic.com. That's ShepkeChiropractic.com.
If Culligan isn't treating your home's water, you likely have water problems all around you, like hard-to-clean chalky residue on your shower, faucets, and bath, stains around your sink drains, spots on your dishes and glassware, plus dull, dried-out hair and skin, and problems you don't see, like scaly buildup in the water heater and pipes. But have no fear, you're in the clear with Culligan Products and Service. For all your residential and commercial water filtration needs,
visit CulliganH2O.com for your local Culligan water dealer.
The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here and ready to help. Anyone can call or text 988 or chat via 988wisconsin.org to get connected to a trained Lifeline counselor. Trained counselors are here to support anyone experiencing a suicidal, mental health, or substance use crisis. You can also contact 988 if you are concerned about someone. 988 is confidential and free to all Wisconsin residents. 988 24/7. Call, text, chat. Here to support you. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Planning those cookouts and backyard barbecues, maybe some tailgating at the ball game or weekend trips to the cabin? Well, you're going to need to stock up on the brats and the hamburgers this year, so it sounds like a trip to Mike's Star Market is in your future. So while you're there, grab some Man Cave Light brats and dill pickle with cheese and bacon brats, because sales of those brats go to help backyard dreams. Plus, grab some burgers for the grill while you're at it. Create that epic cookout this year with the best meats in the Chippewa Valley. Head to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire today.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or you're down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
Drive sober on the road.
No matter how many wheels you roll.
because you can't let the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Stand by as we continue our dig for the truth and the toy at the bottom of the cereal box. Oh, got it. The Dan Kasper Show.
All right, let's get things going. Hey, before we get into our topic at hand, already got a few texts coming out through the Shoe Doctor's bullpen line talking about the green and gold. But before we get things rolling here this morning, quick reminder again, don't forget to sign up your two-person team for the 3rd annual Kasper Classic coming up on August 4th. Got the box sent to me yesterday for the title belt, so they're going to be here within, they said, about a week. So when they get here, I'll post up the pictures on social media and such for everybody to salivate over. Also, should be getting some swag bag stuff, our item for the swag bag and such. So it's happening. It's going here, baby. But I also, because all the proceeds going to help Backyard Dreams and such. If you, I'm going to put the call out to all of you because all of you are fantastic people. But I'm going to put the call out to all of you. If you know of anybody or anything that Backyard Dreams could help support, maybe it's somebody in your family, somebody you know or know of, let me know. All right. Let me know. We are looking. We want to give some money. Okay. We want to help out some people or some, in different ways too. So if you know of anybody or anything personally, or maybe you heard it through the grapevine, but you can give me some info, do that. Hit me up with an email. Okay. Dan@sportstalk1051.com. That'd be the easiest way to do it. But if you know of anybody or anything, or tell them to hit me up with an email or such, we'll see if we can do anything to help out in that. But we're looking for causes, and we are looking for people to help out kids, to help out such. So don't be shy, don't be nervous, don't think, no, that ain't gonna help out. I want to hear from you. So let me know. I'm putting it all out to every one of you listening right now. If you know of anybody or anything that we could probably maybe help out with Backyard Dreams, reach out. Okay, reach out. Let's help out some people here. All right, let's get things going here. Let's roll it on down. Talking some Brewers to lead things off. Brewers falling to the Diamondbacks in game 1 of their series last night, 9-1. 9-1. Corbin Burnes giving up 6 runs before the Brewers even had a chance to bat, putting themselves in a hole. And as we know, the Brewers are a team that really, 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 really struggles when they're put in a hole and trying to do a comeback victory. They really struggle with that. So when you already spot a first-place team with 6 runs in the first, I'm sure a lot of Brewers fans probably checked out of the game after that. So 9-1 loss. We know Corbin, he struggled. I mean, you're looking at some, you don't like seeing a couple of these nuggets here. Burnes matched his career high for runs allowed, 7, and his career low for strikeouts in a start. This is the one that really kind of jumps out to me. He threw 86 pitches, 8-6, and induced just 6 swinging strikes, the third lowest total for any of his 90 regular season and postseason starts. Corbin this year, we went through the numbers a little bit earlier, but in case you missed it, 5-5 with a 3.96 ERA. We went through the, if we do opening day, because that was the only game in March, but 0-1 with a 7.20 ERA and 5 innings pitched. But if we look at the month of April, he was 3-0, all right, with a 3.45 ERA and 5 starts. May, 5 starts, 1-3, 3.30 ERA in his those losses. May 5th against the Giants, he went 6 innings, giving up just 2 earned runs, but charged with the loss. The other one was against the Cardinals on May 17th, where he went 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. And then the other one, Houston, 5 innings. This was on May 22nd. 5 innings, 5 earned runs, 4 home runs in that game. And June, so far, he in 4 games, 1-1 with a 4.68 ERA. And that includes that June game against Baltimore, where he went 8 innings and just gave up 2 hits and 0 earned runs. So what level of concern do you have for one Corbin Burnes this year? 1, nothing. I should say 0, but it's like the bare minimum. You don't really have any concern or anything like that. Or is it 10 where you are absolutely freaking out? You're freaking out. There is something going on with Corbin Burnes. Let's be real here. I don't know. Maybe it's a mental thing, but he is not pitching at the level that we expect of Corbin Burnes, right? A lot of high expectations this year, not just from Brewers fans, but from all the national pundits out there. When you had all those predictions and fan graphs and all that stuff, there was a lot of expectations for Corbin Burns. Cy Young talk, strikeout leader talk, ERA talk, wins, most wins. And he's not going to do it this year. It's just not, unless he goes on this absolute fantastic tear for the rest of half of the season. Even then, I don't know if he'd do that, or catch up to that. But it's not going to happen. So what's going on with Corbin Burns? It's been so up and down. You look at that performance against Baltimore, like, all right. And then you look at last night, it's like, dude, so up and down here. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I'm sure some people are already kind of going back to a few years when, it was his first full year as a starter, and he couldn't keep the ball in the ballpark. I think he ended up down in like the pitching lab. It wasn't even just AAA. I mean, it was just not working. Even when he went to AAA, it wasn't working. He goes down in the pitching lab and trying to figure everything out. Bounces back very nicely and has had a really, really good last couple of years, winning a Cy Young, being one of the game's best pitchers for crying out loud. So what's the dealio for this year? And it's not like he's like baseball's worst pitcher, or he's not like he's, no offense, but he's not like Jeff Suppan or how we feel when Jeff Suppan was on the mound for the Brewer, even like Matt Garza towards the end of his career. But it's not the Corbin Burns that we expected this year. And I'm sure some will probably speculate, and that's all we're doing right now is trying to speculate maybe what's going on a little bit with Corbin Burns. But I'm sure some will speculate that, okay, is he still kind of teed off, reeling from the arbitration hearing? That whole, I don't know if we need to revisit what happened with the arbitration, but remember spring training, he talked a little bit about it, and, he kind of alluded that in the meeting, the Brewers pretty much, according to Corbin, and I'm paraphrasing, he was a big reason why they didn't make the postseason, putting it a little bit on Corbin's shoulders and such, and where we're all like, really? What the heck are the Brewers doing? What is Matt Arnold? What is Mark Anasio? What are they doing? Why would they even do something like that? And then I was one who thought, okay, this is going to be a guy that is going to go out there and use that as motivation this year. He's just going to go out there and he's going to have himself another Cy Young type of season. He's going to go out there and dominate, and the guy is just going to make more coin. He's going to way, if there was even a shot, the Brewers signing him for a long term, which was minimal to begin with. But if he's going to go out there and he's going to pitch lights out and he's going to take away any shot whatsoever that the Brewers would have in signing him to a big deal, because it's just going to be too much. It's going to be one of baseball's highest paid players. I thought he would use that as motivation. Maybe he's trying it, it's just not working. I don't know, but I'm sure a lot of people, and I'm one of them, I'll admit it, you kind of wonder, is it a mental thing right now? Is it focus? Is it maybe it's something with the mechanics a little bit here too? But I think it's fair to say right? It's fair to say that there's something that's bugging Corbin Burns right now. Corbin, after the game, talking about the Diamondbacks and how aggressive they were right away. They were like that the last time we played. They came out and they swung the bats. That's the reason we were able to go deep in that game the last time we faced them. We knew they were going to come out swinging. I just didn't execute early in that first inning. 2 pitches in, we had first and third with nobody out. Really, the first 3 hitters kind of changed the game for me. To answer my own question, my level of concern, I'm probably, maybe it's a little too high. Maybe just a skosh too high. I'm at about a 6. I'm at about a 6 right now. I don't want to cop out and say like 5, be in the halfway there. But it's not the Corbin we expect. And for a team, and yes, there's more pressure on him this year because, well, he's got to be one of those leaders, one of those guys that has to go out there and lead this team to lead this team to a playoff spot. There's more pressure on him, and he's got to step up. And right now, he hasn't been doing that on a consistent rate. Once in a while, he has, but not consistently. Couple of tweets here. You can hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER. If you said my frustration level with Corbin Burns, then it would be at a 7 or an 8. This guy seems like he doesn't even care to be out there for the Brewers right now. I wish he would just dial in and get it done. I've got another tweet here. Or excuse me, this is a text, not a tweet. Another text here. I'm at an 8 with him right now. Definitely concerned. All these high expectations, and I'm wondering if it's a mental thing, like you kind of alluded to. This is from Eric, by the way, but Eric's going with an 8. With an 8. Another text here. This is from David. I'm at about a 6 with Corbin Burns on my concern level. He's been so inconsistent this year, and listening to his post-game pressers, it just seems like he's so lackadaisical that does he even want to be out there for the Brewers? I've been seeing some people kind of saying that on social media a little bit. Now, I don't know how much I kind of personally play into that because, I don't think when you're at a major league level, whether it's Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA or wherever, at any high level, college, whatever, I think one thing, if you're an athlete, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. You can't overreact to a certain game or a couple games here, whether they've been bad or good or whatever. I think the best way to go about it is try to be even keel. And I personally think that's what Corbin is doing. So I don't know necessarily if he's out there and just, being lackadaisical or doesn't care from some people saying about his post press conferences and such. But I feel like he's trying to be even keel and not try to get too high, not try to get too low, and not try to panic or anything like that. That's just my thoughts personally. So, the other question I kind of threw out there for you Brewers fans was if the Brewers were to be buyers before the trade deadline, because there's another one up on MLB.com, potential trade fits for 10 players on the rise. And they got a couple of bullpen pitchers from the Royals that they've listed the Brewers as potential fits. You've got Scott Barlow, right-handed pitcher, and Chapman. We all remember Chapman, right? But that's the only one where they've got the Brewers listed as potential fits right there. So bullpen arms. Would you agree that that's necessarily the biggest need for the Brewers? That if they were going to be buyers, that they should go and get some arms and add them to the bullpen? I think for me, I'm looking for another bat. I just don't know. Would it be a DH? How much more time do you give Jesse Winker? Willie Adames. You're looking at the year he's been having. You're talking about a guy that we were talking about at the beginning of the year. Could the Brewers keep him long term? Give him a big contract, keep him around right now? And you look at what Willie Adames has been having so far. Right now, he's hitting .202. He's got 10 home runs. Didn't collect a hit last night, but at one point it was at 198 last night. But .202 with an on base of just a .286. His OPS is down from his career numbers too at .650. Your guys that you were counting on to be kind of your focal parts of your offense just aren't getting it done this year on a consistent basis. Even Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy Tellez is still leading the team in home runs with 12. But you look at what he's done recently in his last 95 games, the last 95 at-bats. Rowdy Tellez has just 2 home runs, and he's hitting just 200 with an on base of just 255 and is only slugging 295. So, I mean, his OPS so far this season is still at a 718, still below his career averages of a 761, and his on base is just 9 behind his career average, 296 and a 305. And his batting average is actually, pretty close to his career average. So far this year, he's hitting 225, and he's a career 235 hitter. But you look at his last 95 at bats, and guy's only got 2 home runs and hitting just 200 and slugging just 295. Yet there's Christian Yelich getting it done at the top of the lineup right now. 272 this year. But Willie Adames hasn't been consistent. Rowdy Tellez, he's displayed a little bit of pop here and there, but again, consistent. And Jesse Winker, I think, has been a big disappointment so far for the Brewers, playing in that DH spot. Brewers hoping to maybe get a little bit of that magic that he had when he was with the Reds. Last year was a down year with Seattle, but a lot of people thought, okay, going back to a hitter's ballpark, going back to the National League Central, he'll be able to resurrect his career. And I know he spent some time on the injury list and such, but he's been a disappointment this year. Guys that were expected to be main contributors for the offense just aren't doing it so far. A couple more texts here. Okay, Rayman Brandon. I'm at a 4 with him. Doesn't seem like he's enjoying being there. We know trade talks are going on now, and let's be real, this team is not going anywhere, so no need to be buyers. Been so banged up, ride this team and see if they can win a division and trade Burns in the offseason. So, yeah. Looks like the majority of you. Some I would say a little bit high with the 7 and the 8s. We got quite a few of those. But a few texters just kind of chiming in with some numbers, going with 5. Got a couple 6s. And another 7 on there too. Just texting in their numbers. So, all right, keep those coming. All right, keep those coming. Let's get you your pop quiz trivia question before we head to break here.
It's pop quiz time. Think you know the answer? Then get ready to text, tweet, or Facebook your answer to Dan.
All right, so last night across Major League Baseball, Luis Ariz, the Marlins sensation right now, he has just been hot. You want to look at what he's been doing in his last 119 at-bats. Okay, Luis Ariz, his last 119 at-bats. 420 batting average. 420 batting average. And so far this year, he is now hitting at 400 after collecting 5 more hits. He has collected 5 hits in 2 of his last 3 games. 5 hits last night, 5 hits against Washington back on the 16th. Ariz is at Ted Williams' numbers right now. Will he finish the season at 400 or higher? Got a lot of ball game left to go here, but this kid, hitting 400 right now and 255 at-bats and just 2 home runs too. Not a whole lot of power, but his OPS is at a 940. So if I was going to ask, okay, who's the last player to finish the season with a 400 batting average? And I think a lot of you probably would have guessed Ted Williams. If you wanted to throw in some Negro League Baseball players, they would actually be on that list too. But majority of you would have gone with Ted Williams. I would have accepted a couple of different answers there, because if we add in the Negro Baseball League there too, you do have a couple more players attached to that. So I'm going to switch it up here a little bit. Who is the current active leader for career batting average? Career active leader, or I should say current active leader for career batting average right now. So a player who is currently playing and has the highest career batting average. Don't look it up. Don't cheat and don't look it up. Text, tweet, or Facebook me your answers. I'll tell you the answer coming up just in a few minutes here, all right? But again, your pop quiz trivia question, the current active leader in career batting average is who? And it's not somebody who's got like just 10 at-bats, okay? A minimum of 3,000 plate appearances, 500 games. So, okay, it's not somebody who's just got like 10 at-bats or 15 at-bats and is like hitting 575 or whatever. Qualifying at-bats. So think about that. You got a few minutes to text in your answers. And for extra credit, where do you think Christian Yelich ranks on that list? Give me a number.
180! The Dan Kasper Show will be right back. The teen years are a great time for your child to gain practical experience in managing finances. Perhaps he or she already has a summer job lined up. A free checking account at Dairy State Bank can help teens learn to set a budget, track spending, use a debit card, make deposits, and more. Plus, parents are account co-owners and have the ability to supervise the learning process. Give them a call today. Dairy State Bank, member FDIC.
Banking on relationships, Dairy State Bank.
Get hot deals for summer with 11% off everything at Menards. Build your dream deck with Ultra Deck. Low maintenance, rustic, composite decking. Just $1.95 per lineal foot after rebate. Quench your thirst with Arizona iced tea. A 12-pack is $6.99 after rebate. Plus, stay cool with a high-velocity floor fan. Just $39.95 after rebate. Good through June 25th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Don't let joint pain or an injury keep you from enjoying an active life. Mayo Clinic Health System orthopedics and sports medicine specialists provide examination and treatment options to help get you moving again sooner. Call them today to schedule an appointment. Current patients can also conveniently schedule appointments for orthopedics and sports medicine via the Patient Online Services portal. Why wait? Search Mayo Clinic Health System Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and get started on your journey to recovery.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or you're down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
Because you can't lap the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
How do you begin your mornings? If you're like many people in the world, and like me, you begin it with coffee, but not just plain burnt coffee, quality coffee. Coffee from Cabin Coffee in Altoona. Hot, iced, blended. Doesn't matter what your go-to style is, Cabin Coffee has something for everyone to help make your mornings go just a little bit better. And at Cabin Coffee, they even roast their own coffee, and you can get your own bag of freshly roasted and ground coffee, which is perfect for me since I'm up earlier than the majority of you. Begin your mornings just a little bit better with Cabin Coffee in Altoona.
Sports. You love it. We love it. And quite frankly, I don't trust anyone who doesn't love it. Do you?
Is that a serious question?
The Dan Kasper Show.
Got a couple grind my gears before we get to the answer here. James on our video stream saying what's grinding my gears? Fewer opportunities to see a Packers practice. I understand they're going to be out of town to practice with the Bengals, but I don't want to see open practices disappear. Yeah, we chatted a little bit about that yesterday. We got the schedule out. No time yet. We'll be there. We just don't know what days yet. I got the days kind of picked out, but it kind of depends on the times and such. So I think Surveyor is probably calling me out on his Grind My Gears Tuesday. You know what grinds my gears? People who take forever at the boat launch. I don't know if everyone knows this, but normally there is an area where you can stop and get all your stuff in the boat, get the straps off, and make sure your boat is ready to go. Do not pull up, back down, and proceed to take your sweet time getting everything in the boat. The launch is to launch your boat. Same goes for people who can't back a trailer up. Figure it out, people. So I'll just say, Surveyor, you know what? Maybe some people might not have a lot of experience backing a trailer up like yourself, okay? Some might just, it takes a little bit. And it's people like you, probably, Surveyor, where now I'm selling my boat. So there you go. There you have it. So I'm going to call you out a little bit there, Surveyor, too, for picking on the people that maybe can't just back it up in one full swing like that. Sometimes it takes practice, okay? All right, dude? Chill. What else do we got on here? Okay, the answer is Miguel Cabrera for the active batting average leader. Active batting average leader. Right now, according to a Baseball Reference, he is hitting a cool 307. So Miguel Cabrera is your current active leader in batting average. Nobody guessed where Christian Yelich was correctly. Christian Yelich is currently at number 21 on the active leaders list. 21, sitting at a career average of 286. That is higher than Aaron Judge. That is higher than Bryce Harper. That is higher than Manny Machado, Andrew McCutchen. I'm just kind of going through some of the other names on here that you may know on there, but Christian Yelich, number 21 on the career, or on the list of the highest active career batting average right now. So again, qualifying batters. A few of you picked some players who wouldn't qualify on this list as of yet, but 3,000 minimum of 3,000 plate appearances, 500 games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So. All right, coming up at just past 7 o'clock, we'll hit up a little Green and Gold chat. Give me the player that you think we're not talking enough about. We're not talking enough about on this Packers team. Or give me the player that you think is maybe the most confusing. I wouldn't consider Jordan Love confusing. I would consider Jordan Love as like an unknown. We don't know what to expect. So maybe give me a player that you think we're not talking enough about, and maybe give me a player that you think is right now the most confusing because you really don't know what to make of what you've seen from him so far or anything else out there. All right, hit me up with those tweets and Facebook and text stuff. We got a few to get to, and got quite the wide range of players from a lot of you right now. So if you haven't had a chance, let us know, and we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour and such. We'll get to some sports nuggets of the day to kick off that 7 o'clock hour. Plus, we'll be catching up with our friends from the Express as they return home tonight. Then we got the doubleheader tomorrow. I think we're going to be over there tomorrow for the doubleheader, so we'll hit that up. But we'll catch up with our good friends from the Express just past 8 o'clock. And then we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal for some Badger stuff coming up at 8:30. So JJ Watt heading into the Badger UW Athletic Hall of Fame. And we'll hit up with RJ talking about that. But first, we'll finish up the hour talking with Morgan. Good morning.
Hey, I can kind of agree with the gear grind thing when it comes to backing up a trailer, but in defense of somebody like me that couldn't do it, no matter how long I was there.
No. I agree with you on that.
I would just break into tears and start crying. But people that can do it, it sounds like he's just wrangle it around and slam it in the water kind of guy.
See?
Good for you.
Well, yeah, good for you. But I would argue, too, the first time I backed up a trailer, because nobody taught me how to do it when I was a kid or anything. I was an adult, so it still takes me a little bit. I'm learning on my own, man.
I would just get out of the truck and cry. I own that. I would not be good at that. In fact, I'm so impressed by people that like drive semi in city. Like, when I was in college in Boston, we would see these semis that, defy the laws of physics a little bit in the way that they have to maneuver, especially and particularly an old city like Boston that still has a lot of really narrow crevices and stuff. I was always impressed by that. I would have been panicking so bad. But I also was thinking, okay, if you're the guy, and I get this, I also can see you work all week, you get up there, you want to dump the boat in, and then you get held up by some schmooze behind there that's taken 1,505 maneuvers to get their trailer in. Okay, I get that. But what if they offered like
maybe they need 2 lanes.
Oh, like a beginner's lane,
like a fast lane and a slow lane.
You need like the student driver sticker on the
Yeah.
side. I was thinking like a valet, like somebody that could do it for you, like the guy that's really good with the trailer that just kind of stands there and dumps them in one after the other, so everybody.
Yeah.
Like, because when you're at a place that offers valet normal, like I don't go.
That
to
could be a
fancy
summer
places.
job for somebody.
Would that be awesome if you had that offer, like that service at the lake? I would take and tip that 100 times every day, because there's no way that I would want to try it myself. If I could just drive up, dump it in the hands of somebody that can do it well, and then, hey, here's $5, thanks, and you're off. That's a great way to start the camping trip, rather than sweating and cursing and swearing and stopping for a beer in between.
I guess that just means Surveyor is more of a man than the rest of us.
Fine, take my
apparently,
money.
at
Back up the trailer for me. I think was that Surveyor Sam that said that? Yeah, I wasn't sure who said it, but I get it. I mean, and the same thing when it comes to just everyday road driving. I think most people's pet peeves have to do with driving or getting around the earth amongst other humans. What is the quote? Hell is other people. I mean, it seems to be more true than not at some points.
Yeah, but hey, some people just need a little bit more practice.
Sam should pop out and say, "Hey,
you know what? That's the thing.
You
know what, Sam? If you're gonna do that, why don't you offer your help for other people? Then be a good Samaritan and help out your fellow people.
Now, I can tell you what does bother me, because there's no excuse for it. People that turn slow. I'm not talking trailers. I'm not talking big rigs in small places. I'm talking like you're just trying to turn in.
Speaking of turning slow, you know what really bugs me is that what is it over by Oakwood Mall and Aldi's?
Yeah.
That right to get back on.
And there's a lane, but nobody treats it like there's a lane.
Yeah, they stop. Just keep going, people.
It's more dangerous to stop.
Right.
There's no stops. There's not even a yield sign, because you have your own lane. Even though it doesn't look like it, it can be a little intimidating. But you choke up and hiccup traffic if you don't follow that flow.
Exactly.
How do you feel about roundabouts, as long as we're getting into the road rage?
Oh, I'm fine with roundabouts. I know how to do it.
Yeah, once you know how to do it. It's what the engineers and city planners always say. When they're used properly, they're extremely efficient. It's the people that sit in the middle of it, stop, and then decide to get out a map and a box of Kleenexes.
Or they panic on which one they have to take.
Yeah.
Which exit they have to take out of there.
Go with the flow. Keep the roundabout moving, buddy.
I think Surveyor should probably volunteer his services to be a trailer backer up.
I would take it. Back up.
Why don't you help out people instead of complain to them, or Surveyor?
Yeah, hitch. Don't. Well,
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Well, deputies say a Wisconsin Rapids man told them he thought he hit a mailbox over the weekend, but investigators say he tried to hide damage to his truck, and the Wood County Sheriff's Office says deputies arrested Cody Provers for a Friday hit and run in the town of Seneca that sent a mom to the hospital. Sheriff's Office there saying he hit a woman while she was walking with her child alongside of the road. Now, the child was not hurt. The mom remains in the hospital. As we look to other headlines, the search continues, but now Sauk County say the 13-year-old they're looking for is likely better prepared than first thought. Sheriff's Office has been looking for 13-year-old James Yablonsky for a week, and we've been following this and talking about it, though deputies say they believe he has more food and supplies than originally thought, and had actually taken a survivalist mission course ahead of this, though that search continues today. Police in Verona say a driver they stopped for going over 100 miles per hour over the weekend was not drunk. Officers pulled the driver over just before noon Saturday. The driver was going 106 miles an hour down Verona Road. That's a 65-mile-per-hour zone, and after a few sobriety tests, police said the driver was not drunk, but they did issue a slew of tickets for speeding and reckless driving. Well, locally, a lot of lives affected as families are tackling what to do next after Hutchinson yesterday announced another round of layoffs, more than 50 workers losing jobs. They made that announcement in a filing with the state, and it comes on the heels of the last round when HTI dropped over 200 workers. You probably remember that announcement, which was back in March. And what's that brings all the boys to the yard? Today, it's National Vanilla Milkshake Day. How about shaking it up for us, Bree?
Created in 1922 by Ivor Colson, an employee at a Walgreens store, most are blended, but it's okay if you don't. YouGov says vanilla is the most popular ice cream flavor in America, and today it's the only way to go. The original milkshakes date back to 1884, but they were more of an eggnog drink and had whiskey in them, which is okay, but not at work. Today we celebrate milk vanilla ice cream and a dash of vanilla extract. That's all. Maybe some whipped cream on top. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
You know, I said, Casper, turn it upside down, smile a little bit, not so much with the frown. And he said, no, a smile is okay.
But not at work.
Oh, okay. For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
A very mild morning to kick us off with a few places into the 60s and 70s, and we'll have plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will be warming up fairly quickly throughout the morning and into the afternoon, eventually topping out into the upper 80s, potentially low 90s. Not a lot of humidity to go along with it today. Otherwise, mainly clear tonight, dipping to the low 60s, and those upper 80s and low 90s stick around through Saturday. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Meat exports for April from the United States were mixed. Let's take a look at some of our farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. Beef and lamb exports were lower in April, but pork exports were higher. That's according to the latest DATCAP livestock market update. April beef exports were just over 111,000 metric tons. That's 10% lower than last year. For the first 4 months of this year, beef exports are down 8% in volume, 21% below last year's pace. Export accounts for 15.7% of total beef production. U.S. lamb exports total 153 metric tons in April. That's down 13% from a year ago. Lamb exports for the first 4 months of the year still 22% ahead of last year's pace. Pork exports, though, were up 15% from a year ago to almost 244,000 metric tons. Year-to-date, pork exports are up 14% compared to last year. Exports account for about 32% of total April pork production. And the marketing terms grass-fed and free-range are familiar to many consumers, and the USDA is encouraging the implementation of a multi-step process to help verify that products meet the guidelines of those terms. Currently, USDA food safety inspectors can only verify how the meat is handled after it enters the slaughterhouse, with no way to verify how the animal was raised. Certification programs by a private third party as to the accuracy to those claims of grass-fed or free-range, in combination with USDA food safety inspectors at the slaughterhouse, would have the expectation of more accuracy in labeling. And farm service agencies, along with other federal and state-aided agencies, are launching the Wisconsin Beginning Farmer Resources Guide. The guide will take beginning farmers through many resources available to help them start and run a farm and other ag-related businesses. Those guides are now available. That's a look at the farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. I'm Bob Bosold.
Crank it up. Are you ready to take? Get up. He's on his way. He's our man. The man, the myth, the legend. That's Dan. And now, the Dan Kasper Show.
All right, second hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning of June 20th. Hopefully you're all off to a fantastic start here this morning. Appreciate you tuning in however you may be tuning in from. We're going to chat a little green and gold here in just a second. Who do you think is the player? Give me just one, too. Don't give me a bunch of players, but give me one player that you think is we're not talking enough about. I know we got, an off season still going on here. Training camp next month will begin and such. But, obviously there's been a lot of talk about Jordan Love. There's been a lot of talk about, some other players, Aaron Jones and such. But who do you think is a player that's not getting talked enough about that we should be talking enough about? And then give me your one player that is maybe the biggest head scratcher for you or the most confusing. Not Jordan Love. I feel like Jordan Love's more of would be under the category of an unknown because we don't know him, but like head scratcher player. I use the example for me, or to give you mine, was Darnell Savage. Was Darnell Savage. So we'll get to some of your picks coming up here in just a second. Let's catch up on And a couple of texts from C-Bomb. Do you feel C-Bomb never calls anymore? Do you feel the Brewers could actually be buyers, the pitching staffs and the talent that they've had in years past, and they should make? Okay, let me try to rephrase this. The pitching staffs and the talent that they've had in years past, and they sold, would make me really irritated if they started buying now. What are your thoughts? I get that. Yeah, I mean, if they started buying now, I'm sure a lot of people, especially, would look at last year and be like, "Why did you sell then?" But this year you're buying. I would buy that. I'd agree with that. Well, I think a lot of people would probably kind of question some of the philosophy going on with the Brewers there. Let's do some sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by Ansay Associates. Let's go. 1936, Jesse Owens set a 100-meter record at 10.2 seconds. Willie Mays in 1950 graduated high school and then immediately signed with the New York Giants. 1966, the U.S. Open golf tournament was broadcast in color for the very first time. Pete Rose in 1982 played in his 3,000th Major League game. It was also his 523rd consecutive game. Chicago Bulls won their third consecutive NBA title. That's when they beat the Suns in 1993. 1994, the Tiger streak of 25 straight games with at least one home run ended. Let's go. 1999, remember Lawrence Phillips? Lawrence Phillips became the first NFL Europe player to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. 1999, the Dallas Stars won their first NHL Stanley Cup by defeating the Buffalo Sabres in the third overtime of Game 6. The game actually began on June 19th. Let's go with 2001, Barry Bonds hit his 38th home run of the season. The home run broke the Major League Baseball record for homers before the midseason All-Star break. Luis Castillo, remember him? 2002, Florida Marlins then set a major league record for second baseman when he got hit in his 34th straight game. And then 2004, Ken Griffey Jr., when he was with the Reds, got his 500th career home run. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day. Again, brought to you by our good friends from Ansay Associates. All right, so back to the question at hand. I threw out a couple of them for you. The player that you think nobody is talking enough about for the Packers, and the player that is maybe the most confusing to you, the most confusing player to you. A couple of picks here. Surveyors saying no one is talking about Rashawn Gary, and I believe he has the ability to lead the league in sacks, and that will be my bold prediction. Gary will lead the league in sacks. Living a dream, Jeff. Good morning, Dan. My most confusing player is Devondre Campbell. 2 years ago, he set the world on fire, got paid. Last year, he looked like Tarzan, played like Jane. Living a dream, Jeff. I already told you my pick for the most confusing player is Darnell Savage, heading into a contract year. Packers picked up his fifth-year option last year. Essentially is right now, I'm not sure who's talking about Aaron Jones trade talks. Any trade talk? I'm not sure, Dave, what you mean by trade talks for Aaron Jones. Any trade talks for Aaron Jones would end as Brewers and Hater disaster. I'm not sure where that one came out of. But for my confusing player, I'm confused with that too. For my confusing player, I went with Darnell Savage because, well, first round pick from what would be 4 or 5 years ago now, was in the same draft with Rashawn Gary. And I know Matt LaFleur had said earlier in the offseason that, Savage is going to be having a bigger role within his defense, a bigger part, putting him in position to be more successful and such. And I guess I'm kind of curious to see how that's all going to play out. He's essentially safety number one for this defense right now. In a lot of the minicamp practices and such, it's been Ford who's lined up next to him. We'll see if Owens maybe cracks that once they get into training camp and preseason games and that sort of thing. Again, I'm really confused, Dave. I don't know what you mean by Baltimore. But what type of role can Savage have within this defense that would be expanded, or what kind of role would, what position would Joe Barry and his defense put him into succeed more? He's struggled to cover tight ends throughout his career. He's got speed. He's been, he's even said himself that maybe he would be better at playing the nickel role, playing a nickel cornerback and such. But I'm confused on what I guess it boils down to. I'm really confused on what exactly could the Packers do? What could Joe Barry do that would make him, a legit number one safety? We've seen some good plays from him. We've seen his speed, but it's been so up and down that I'm just really confused on what type of player Darnell Savage could ultimately be. Is he going to be a long-term starting safety in this league? Could he be the future starting safety for the Packers? After this year, could he be a long-term fixture there? I don't know. A lot's going to depend on the play of him from this year. And given the 4 years that we've seen from him, I'm just really confused from what we've seen. It's been so up and down. And honestly, it's probably been a little bit more down than recent. So he's my pick for most confusing player right now. If I had to make a pick for the player we're not talking about enough this year, the player that we're not talking about enough this year, and I'm not going to go with any of the rookies. I'm wiping the rookies off that. I would probably I might go Josiah DeGuara on this one, and hear me out here a little bit. Josiah DeGuara was originally drafted to be kind of that H-back type of pick. The halfback, fullback, whatever you want to call it, but lined up in the backfield, catching passes out of the backfield. Kind of the trend we've been seeing with some of these fullbacks as of late. And we really haven't seen a whole lot from him. And I know, he had an ACL injury and missed a lot of time. But you look at his numbers so far throughout his very, very young career, rookie in 2020. But, career-wise, he's got 39 catches, just 371 yards, does have a couple of touchdowns and such. If you want to get down, throughout season by season here, 2020 just played in those 2 games, 12 yards on one catch. 2021 played in 16 games, 25 catches for 245 yards. Last year played in every single game, 13 catches on 15 targets, 111 yards. And maybe this kind of plays into the whole expectation that the offense is going to look a little bit different. And I know Matt LaFleur kind of brushed it off and laughed at that notion. But the more typical Shanahan, LaFleur offense, DeGuara might be a little bit more of a role in there. But I think with Jordan Love now at quarterback, and especially maybe earlier in the season, you got rookie tight ends in play here. There's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some, getting used to, whether it's within this offense, playing in the NFL, new quarterback, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think Josiah DeGuara could be a nice safety valve for Jordan Love, especially earlier in the season. And from the very, very small glimpses, small sample sizes that we have seen when Love and DeGuara have been on the field together, Love seems to have a connection with it, which makes sense because, I kind of laughed a couple weeks ago. I chuckled, maybe not laughed, but chuckled a little bit when there was this notion out there, or these articles, these blogs that were just running all across the world that Romeo Doubs and Jordan Love look like they've developed a connection so far in minicamp. Like they look like they're on the same page. And I'm like, do we not remember last year? Like we saw it in the preseason. When Jordan Love was the only guy playing and Romeo Doubs was, like the only rookie wide receiver outside Samari Torrey playing because Christian Watson was hurt. We saw it all preseason with Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs. So, but it makes sense because these guys, these backups like Jordan Love, we see it a lot with these backup quarterbacks. They hone in on one guy or a couple guys. It's because it's the guys usually that they spend a lot of time practicing with, whether it's scout team and during the season or like training camp. They develop these connections, and that's where a lot of times when you see a backup quarterback come in, they kind of hone in on a guy or two because that's the guy that they've been working with the most, and that's their comfort level, that's their safety valve a little bit. So, rewind the last couple of years, Jordan Love and Josiah DeGuara have been on the field a lot together, and in some of the play mop-up duties that Jordan Love has been in, guy that he is kind of targeted a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean more times than not because there's not a whole lot of opportunities or targets there. But it's been DeGuara. And part of me just kind of looks at this, okay, you've got your veteran wide receivers are Watson and Romeo Dobbs, second-year guys. Your tight ends, your top two tight ends are going to be rookies. You've got Aaron Jones and you've got A.J. Dillon. They get talked. We talk about those guys all the time. But one player that I think that maybe we're not talking enough about that might have an impact this year, especially earlier in the season, might be Josiah DeGuara, because maybe he is going to be that safety net for Jordan Love. Maybe he's going to be that, that quick out. If nothing's developing down the field or nothing's, working across the middle, there's some miscommunication and such. There's good old 81, Josiah DeGuara, just sitting there in the flat. Throw it out to him. He's going to pick you up 6 yards, 7 yards, whatever it may be. I think DeGuara is a guy that maybe we're, he's not the flashiest player, so we're not talking about him a lot. He's not a rookie or a second-year guy like a Christian Watson who we're hoping makes a big jump this year. He's not an established guy like an Aaron Jones who you know what to expect from. He's just Josiah DeGuara, halfback for the Green Bay Packers that might catch a ball once in a while, or that's what he was the last couple of years. But now, maybe a little bit more of a focal part in the offense, and maybe a guy like Jordan Love might look to get him the ball a little bit more than what one Aaron Charles Rodgers did in the last couple of years too. I think that's going to be my pick for the player that I don't think we're talking enough about that. If I were to make a bold prediction here on June 20th, I'm going to go with Josiah DeGuara. Thinking outside the box here a little bit for a bunch of different reasons, and especially earlier in the season too. We had a couple more picks on the texting line here. Tyler said that last year's first round picks, will Walker be better and not make dumb plays? No Dean Lowry and Reed. Wyatt needs to play. Are you? So is that your Tyler? Is that your picks for the players we're not talking enough about, or the most confusing players out there? We got a couple more picks here for the players that we're not talking enough about. Eric is going with A.J. Dillon for a pick on here. We've got Ben. Oh yeah, he went with a rookie. I took rookies out of mine, but he's going with the rookie. He's going with the wide receiver from Michigan State, Reed, as being a player we're not talking about. I think with him spending a lot of time in the slot, he's going to be over the middle and be a nice quick out for Jordan Love for this season. I could see that. Most confusing player, we got an Eric Stokes pick. I know it might not be fair since he got hurt last year. This is from Travis. He got hurt last year, but I'm really confused on when he does come back. One, will he be a starter, or will it still be Rasul Douglas and obviously Jair Alexander? And two, will he be able to still showcase that speed after suffering those lower leg injuries? Yeah, I think that's fair. Jeremy's going to go with another rookie here. The kicker, Carlson, is a position that you cannot lose games with. Yeah, if you want to go rookies, again, I took rookies off the table here because to me they're all an unknown at this point. I kind of put all the rookies under the category of unknown because I don't know what the heck to expect from them. So we got another pick here. This one is from Chris for the player that we're not talking enough about. Player we're not talking enough about is Preston Smith. You got Rashawn Gary coming back from an injury. Who knows when he'll be back and if he'll be back at the same level. Lucas Van Ness as a rookie. Preston Smith is a guy that needs to step it up this year and be the number one edge rusher until one of those youngsters takes it away from him. Nobody is talking enough about Preston Smith this year. Interesting pick. Obviously Surveyor picked Rashawn Gary. Lucas Van Ness is a rookie. And then you got the good old veteran still there, Preston Smith. Preston Smith. Yeah, maybe. Definitely. The player that I'm most confused about this year is Rasul Douglas. Can he play outside corner, or is he still, like a lot of people assume, better suited to play safety? Okay, yeah, that's from that's from Randy here this morning. So a lot of you going with some different routes out there. I like it. All right, keep those puppies coming. Keep hitting me up with some texts. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. Let's take a quick break here. We'll talk some more green and gold with Joe, but you still got some time to text over your picks. We'll be back after these quick words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Now that you've gotten a few rounds of golf in, either for fun or for league, let me ask you, how's your back feeling? Or what about those weekend-long softball tournaments? How are you feeling when you show up to work on Monday mornings? Been there. You're limping around and it's difficult to even get out of bed or your office chair. Well, stop limping around and complaining about that pain you have and do something about it. Make your appointment right now with Shepke Chiropractic. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So if you're dealing with some back pain from all those extracurricular activities like golfing or playing ball, or because of all those home projects that you're working on, help relieve that back pain by making your appointment with Dr. Logan Shepke. Plus, they have 2 locations to help better serve you. Your journey to a healthier, more fulfilling life starts here at Shepke Chiropractic. Make your appointment today at one of their 2 locations by visiting ShepkeChiropractic.com. That's ShepkeChiropractic.com.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or you're down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
Because you can't lap the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
What's on Tap brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Rooting for the Brew Crew because we're from Milwaukee too. It's Miller time. Ditch the Monday blues with Miller High Life Mondays. For select Monday home games, grab $6 Terrace Reserve and $12 Loads bleacher tickets, courtesy of Miller High Life. Get your $6 seats today at brewers.com/High Life. Milwaukee Brewers Baseball and Miller Lite.
Economy Furniture in Chippewa Falls is something that you gotta see. The biggest selection for miles around, 2 jam-packed floors of quality. At Economy, you don't have to wait for a sale. It can be yours immediately. Everyday low prices on the best brand names, and we finance it interest-free. Furnishing the Chippewa Valley since 1950. Economy Furniture's for me.
The Shoe Doctor is known for quality footwear. Remember, the Shoe Doctor can keep your feet comfortable during all the different outdoor weather and activities here in the Chippewa Valley. Work boots, casual shoes, sandals, and more from brands you trust like Keen, Merrill, Chaco, and Dansko, and that's just to name a few. Located on Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire, you can also visit them online at shoedoctorfootwear.com. The Shoe Doctor, quality footwear for work, sport, and fun.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or you're down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
Because you can't lap the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
If you were to listen to Dan Kasper nonstop around the clock for a solid, you'd become the king of all sports fans, desired by beautiful women, and rich beyond your dreams. I think. Try it and let's see. The Dan Kasper Show.
All right, James is saying that the player I'm surprised we're not hearing enough about is Christian Watson. The offseason buzz seems to be the relationship between Love and Dobbs. Just surprised there hasn't been much about Watson. Another text here from Dave. Story about the Ravens trying to get Aaron Jones. Wished I recalled where I heard it. Well, I Googled that. That seems to be just like a blog and from an NFL analytics thing. I don't think there's any substance to it. So I would, especially since he took a pay cut to stay in Green Bay. So I don't think you have to worry about that. All right, I gotta minimize. We got a lot more people texting in with their picks, so I gotta minimize this this text window. But keep them coming. I'm just getting distracted because I want to hear or I want to read all of your picks there. I don't have a fancy person to kind of help me go through all this, so I'm minimizing it. But keep texting with your picks. All right, 715-830-1912. The question we're asking, we'll bring in Joe here. Joe, who's the Packers player we're not talking enough about this offseason?
No, great question. I think that's probably going to be Devondre Campbell.
Okay.
You look at a couple of years ago, and he had an all-pro season his first year in Green Bay. Not necessarily playing up to that standard last year. And if for this defense to take that next step, I mean, everyone's talking about Quay Walker taking that next step, and everyone's talking about Devontae Wyatt taking that next step on that defensive side of the ball, and the cornerbacks, Russell Douglas, and even Keyshawn Nixon getting discussed. I think Devondre Campbell, if he can come back to the all-pro level that he set 2 years ago, I think that's a huge, huge difference for this Packer football team. And this team needs leaders. And you and I have talked about this over the last couple of weeks. And if Devondre Campbell, as a veteran, can reignite this defense and reignite his own performance, I think that's huge for this. Whether or not this team will be successful this year, I think a lot of it rests on Campbell.
My pick was, I went a little outside the box here. Just tell me how crazy I am with my pick here. I went with Josiah DeGuara for a couple factors. one, with everybody else on the offense being so inexperienced and young, especially tight end groups, and you got Romeo and you got Watson heading into their second years. We know all about Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But, Jordan Love and Josiah DeGuara spent a lot of time, whether it's been on scout teams or backups practicing with each other. And I feel like a lot of times when you see that backup quarterback come in or that new quarterback come in, they kind of always target the guys that they work a lot with in practice or on scout teams and such. And I just feel like maybe at the early part of the season, Josiah DeGuara might be a nice safety valve for Jordan Love. How crazy am I?
No, not crazy at all. And I think not only a safety valve in the passing game, but the reason they drafted DeGuara in the first place was for that H-back, which this offense kind of revolves around some H-back play. And so I think going back to the roots of the Matt LaFleur offense, I think DeGuara will play, again, barring injury and those types of things, I think he'll play a very significant role. I think you saw last year, and if you looked at some of the tape last year, DeGuara did a really nice job of blocking in space and blocking on the move. And I thought he did a really efficient job from that standpoint. And I think you're going to see a lot more movement. I think you're going to see a lot more misdirection, a lot more shifts and those types of things, the jet sweeps. And I think DeGuara is going to be key to that. And you're right. For all the talk of Musgrave and Kraft, they are rookies. And I think tight end is one of those positions that is tough to learn for rookies. So I think you're spot on with that, Captain. I think now look, when you talk about a player like that, I know you're not saying he's going to be an all-pro. We're not mentioning him in that regard, but I think he's a critical piece of the puzzle. And I think when Green Bay, looking back at that draft, drafted Jordan Love and A.J. Dillon and Josiah DeGuara, I think they were looking at what kind of an offense does Matt LaFleur want to run? And I think Josiah DeGuara could be a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I'm going to be kind of interesting to see his progression this year for sure. Another kind of question we're having a little bit of fun with, I'll throw to you. Now, if I phrase it, who's the most head-scratching player heading into this season or in training camp? Who would that player be for you? For me, it was Darnell Savage, just because I have no idea what to expect. I feel like Jordan Love's more of the unknown category. But if we put somebody in there like that head scratching, we've seen him for the last few years, and you're just not quite sure what to expect or what role they kind of fit in. Who would that player be?
Well, I got to agree with you with Savage, but another guy that it's not really a head scratcher. It's just where do you play him is Josh Nijman because all through the OTAs and everything, Zach Tom was lining up at that right tackle position, and Josh Nijman is a guy that they signed to the tender and they have high expectations of and filled in pretty well over the last couple of years when Bakhtiari was down. And so, there's a guy you just got to ask yourself, what role does he have on this team? And is he that swing tackle? And how much value do you put into the fact that, maybe Bakhtiari doesn't come back next year and is Josh Nijman then that left tackle? And so I think that's probably – I'd still put Savage as number one because you're right. You just don't know what you're going to get. That was a guy that first year, second year, you thought was an ascending player. Last couple of years, you think he's a descending player. And so, yeah, I'm with you on that. But I'd put Josh Nijman in that discussion as well as just, what are you going to do with him? Where's his upside? Where does he fit in this team, not only this year, but for years to come?
Joe Duano joining us, chatting a little green and gold as we're going to continue his countdown as well for the players, impact players for this year. And, you got some wide receivers, and you posted up a couple of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. We've been talking about Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs a little bit earlier in here. Tell us where they rank on your countdown and why you think they're a big key to success for the offense this year.
Yeah, I cheated a little bit. I want to tie for sixth place, and so I'm basically giving you my top 11 because I think Dobbs and Watson are both going to be critical to the success this year. And look, I'm sure listeners are saying, yeah, no duh, but let's break it down a little bit more. First of all, they both had about the same number of targets last year, and so that's where you got to start. Is how many targets did they have? Romeo had 67 targets. Christian had 66 targets. Watson had 41 receptions, and Dobbs had 42 receptions. Now the difference, of course, is in the yards per reception. All right, Romeo was at 10 yards per reception. and Watson was almost at 15 yards of reception. So that's the difference there. So catch rate about 62, 63%. Now, when you start breaking down even more, last year, Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard combined for 94 catches on 150 targets. So let's just say, and I looked at Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson last year had 147 targets. Chris Olave had 119 targets. So let's just say that things continue to move forward for the both of them, like they did in their rookie year. And I put them, between 100 and 110 targets, probably between 60 and 70 catches if they keep that catch ratio. And when you look at the touch and you look at the yards, I'm looking at that obviously Watson's going to be that big play receiver with more explosives coming out of it. And so you're looking at probably between 900 and 1,000 yards for him, and Dobbs 800 to 900. And I've got them combined, and I don't know what the official over-under is, but I've got them combined for 15 touchdowns. And I would take the over on that as far as the over-under there. And so when you look at the targets that were divided between, and you look at the catches that Cobb and Lazard, and I get it, some of those other targets are going to be spread around to Reed and some of the tight ends and et cetera. But I don't think it's out of the question to say half of those targets, Cobb and Lazard, probably go to Dobbs and Watson if they're both healthy. And if things play out like it looks like right now. And again, I think building a rapport and building chemistry with these two receivers with Jordan Love, I think is going to be critical to the success. And I think the both of them really, I mean, for lack of a better comparison, and please don't take this the wrong way, that I'm not saying Romeo Dobbs is Devontae Adams, but you had Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and now you've got Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson, and they both serve the same roles as far as in the passing game goes. And when you look at Romeo Dobbs, he's a little bit bigger than people think he is. He's about 6'2", 200 pounds, and I think he can take that punishment over the middle, and I think he can be a pretty strong receiver there. So, yeah, when you look at this Packer team, if Jordan Love is going to have success, I think a lot of it's going to have to be with those young wide receivers. And the other thing with these guys, Captain, is this. They've got to take the jump. Both Dobbs and Watson need to be more consistent. They need to take that first to second year jump if this team is going to be successful. And what's interesting, I heard you talking a little bit before we got on about people not talking a lot about Watson. People are really highlighting the Dobbs and Love connection. And I think, again, when you look at the two of them, and when you've got receivers with traits and talents that are a little bit different and complement each other, it really plays well when you're looking at that. And I think if you look back at some of the wide receiver duos in the NFL, I think they've got that. And not to, again, compare these two guys to all pros and Hall of Famers, but you look at Minnesota back when they had Chris Carter and Randy Moss. I just think that those types of guys, when you've got the guy that can catch the underneath passes and is more of a surgeon as his routes, and you've got the other guy who's just explosive and can open up the field and take the top off of defense, I think it complements each other really well. So, yeah, my sixth, and again, this is a tie and a little bit of a cheat. I'm going with 11 guys, but tied for six, I think Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson, big keys to the Packers' success this year and to Jordan Love's success individually.
That's why, a couple weeks ago when there was like all the blogs and the articles out there saying, oh, it looks like, Love and Romeo Dobbs are developing quite the connection. And I just kind of chuckled at it a little bit because I'm like, do we now remember last year preseason when Aaron didn't play preseason? Christian Watson was like hurt training camp in preseason, and it was pretty much Jordan Love and Romeo Dobbs with that connection. That's where everybody really fell into Romeo Dobbs because what he was doing in the preseason. That's why I feel like, me personally, at least, first part of the season, Romeo Dobbs is going to be the main target for Jordan Love because he's already kind of got a head start with that connection, with that development with between those two guys.
Yeah, no question. And look, you're absolutely right. And I chuckle at you heard about the 2-minute offense, and the 2-minute offense in the OTAs, it was a lot of Romeo Dobbs and Jordan Love. And then, of course, I don't know if you heard it or saw it, but then you got the 96-yard touchdown pass from Jordan Love to Christian Watson. And I think that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get more explosives out of Christian Watson, and you're going to get more of moving the chains out of Romeo Doubs. And I do think Romeo Doubs improves upon that 10 yards a catch. I think you're going to see him again. Lazard last year was 12, 13 yards a catch. I think you're going to see Romeo more in that place than at 10 yards a catch, just with opportunities. But I think Watson's going to be at that 14, 15 yards a catch. And again, if towards the end of the season, if you're looking back on tape, I thought Watson did a really nice job of starting to develop the route tree a little bit and develop more than just that deep speed and learning how to change speeds. And because that's one thing that I always thought Devontae Adams did really well, is his ability to make the same route look different by changing speeds. And so I think once Watson learns to throttle down, I think the future is very bright for him. But when you look at pure wide receiver skills, right now I think Romeo Doubs the better route runner, and I think Christian Watson the more explosive. But going back to what you said, yeah, there's been chemistry from day one with Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs. So not shocked at this at all. And when you're running 7-on-7, a lot of those underneath things are going to be open. And so, the natural tendency is to go for those shorter routes, those checkdowns, those types of things. And I think Romeo Doubs has that ability to be that kind of guy, that safety valve. And again, when I say safety valve, I don't mean he's just going to be sitting out in the flat. I just mean where he's going to be, and if you throw it, he's going to catch it. And I think that's where that chemistry was built last year and continues to build this year.
To kind of wrap it up here, I know last week we touched on Jair Alexander just a little bit, and then after that, a couple more practices, he was John with Jordan Love, and he was John with Romeo Doubs and all that, and then hugging with them in the locker room. And I know there's like some Twitter warriors out there saying, "Well, look at Jair, just picking on his younger quarterback and all that." I liked it, Joe. I don't know about you, but I like the fact that Jair is out there trash talking to his quarterback, trash talking to his wide receivers, because I think Jair knows that, hey, you guys want for us to go somewhere, you guys are going to have to step it up or take on bigger roles, take that leap, as you were saying, especially with the sophomore seasons with Romeo and Christian Watson. I like the fact that Jair is out there trash talking and getting in the face with Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs, because they're going to be facing it in the regular season, man. So maybe I'm in the minority, but I like it. What did you think?
Oh, I love it. I love the vibe that this team is. And look, this team might not win any games this year, but and I'm not. That's not my prediction, but I'm just saying, the off-season vibe doesn't necessarily translate to W's, and I understand that. But I absolutely love the vibe that this team is given off, and the camaraderie that's building with this team, and there were a lot of talk over the last couple of years that it was kind of becoming a locker room divided. There was Aaron's guys, and I don't want to say Jordan's guys, but really kind of the younger generation, because the older Aaron got, the more he distanced himself, and I don't blame him. That's not I get it the same way. I mean, I'm 55, and I don't hang out with a lot of 27, 28, 29-year-olds, and it's just a different world. But the chemistry in the locker room, the camaraderie that's building, I think the fun side of Jordan Love that's coming out, the relaxed side of Jordan Love. I mean, the thing about it is, from a quarterback standpoint, is play loose, play relaxed, play confident. And if Matt LaFleur and this team gets him to play in with that kind of mindset, I think the sky's the limit. And so, no, I have zero problem. I didn't have a problem with the Memorial Day shenanigans up at A.J. Dillon's place. I didn't have the problem with Jair and Jordan going back and forth. Much ado about nothing with Jordan Love wishing Bears fans a happy Father's Day, when it was really all about doing a favor for a guy that he saw in France that was part of the French Bears fans club. And so, I love what's happening. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air, Captain. And again, whether or not this translates to W's, I don't know. But the last 3 years, man, off-season in Green Bay is just nothing but drama and questions. And it seems now that there's a little bit of a cloud lifted off this team, and they're out there having fun. And I think that's really important. Again, could go 0-17, and all of this means nothing. But I like what I'm hearing and seeing right now.
0-17, and then on the clock for Caleb Williams. There's your drama back at it. So, now you got your drama back in Green Bay. So there you go. So,
yeah, if they're 0-17, yeah, there's going to be plenty of drama in Green Bay. There's probably going to be jobs to be had too in Green Bay, because I don't see a lot of guys hanging around if his team's 0-17.
Agreed. Joe, appreciate it. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll catch up with you again next week, sir.
All right, brother. Have a good one, man.
You too. There you go. There's Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break, and then we'll finish up the first hour here. Music. All right, there's the music. Maybe you can hear it. I couldn't hear it. We'll finish up did I say first hour? Second hour. Finish up the second hour. Then we got some Eau Claire Express chat coming up just past 8 o'clock.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure businesses throughout Wisconsin. Customer satisfaction is our first and foremost priority. As one of Wisconsin's top 10 insurance agencies and among the top 5% of agents nationwide, Ansay & Associates can provide all of your insurance needs, from business, commercial, to employee benefits. Ansay & Associates, securing and protecting your American dream.
Update your home's exterior with 11% off everything at Menards. Protect your home and save big money on Cedar Creek Vinyl Siding. This low-maintenance siding withstands the elements and comes in 16 colors ready to install, all backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Save big money and get 11% off your next siding project now at Menards. Good through June 25th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here and ready to help. Anyone can call or text 988 or chat via 988wisconsin.org to get connected to a trained Lifeline counselor. Trained counselors are here to support anyone experiencing a suicidal, mental health, or substance use crisis. You can also contact 988 if you are concerned about someone. 988 is confidential and free to all Wisconsin residents. 988 24/7. Call, text, chat. Here to support you. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, June 23rd, with Carl's Barbecue Express. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or you're down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
Because you can't lap the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or you're down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
Drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
because you can't let the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
What's on Tap brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Rooting for the Brew Crew because we're from Milwaukee too. It's Miller time. Dish the Monday blues with Miller High Life Mondays. For select Monday home games, grab $6 Terrace Reserve and $12 Loads bleacher tickets, courtesy of Miller High Life. Get your $6 seats today at brewers.com/High Life. Milwaukee Brewers Baseball and Miller Lite.
Eva's wedding.
Nana's 80th.
My first interview. Whenever I'm on the road, I wonder, where's everyone going? Every truck, bus, car, or bike, we all share the goal of going somewhere special beyond where we're driving to. So, let's work together to make sure we all get there safely. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Maybe you miss parts of the Dan Kasper Show because of the clown that lives in the sewer.
You will do.
Don't worry. You can get highlights of the show on the Man Cave Podcast, available on your favorite podcasting platforms.
All right, only got a few minutes left to the top here. We got the Express coming in just past 8 o'clock. Express back at home today and tomorrow for a doubleheader. But quick reminder, wanted to remind you, if you got some home projects that you're going to be working on when it comes to like home improvement projects or anything like that, especially when you're thinking about replacing your floor, but maybe you just need a little bit of help because, you know, me, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm no Bob Vila. I'm not even a Tim the Toolman Taylor. So when it comes to those home improvement projects, I'm comfortable in admitting I'm not the smartest tool in the toolbox or in the shed there. That's why when it comes to big home projects, I need someone I can trust to complete these projects for me and do a job well done. That's why I fully trust the team at Carpet City Flooring Center. See, we've got some big flooring projects coming up for our home. And I wouldn't even know where to begin with the whole process. If it wasn't for everybody at Carpet City Flooring Center, I don't know where I'd go because they're helping me pick out the flooring that looks best in our home, fits in our budget. They're doing the measuring because, you know, me and math, we don't get along. And, of course, professionally installing it. No hack jobs like some of our floors in our home look like from the previous owners because they try to do it themselves and they probably shouldn't have. So if you're like me and you just need a little bit of help or a lot of help when it comes to your flooring projects, don't stress it. Make it easier on yourself. And visit our good friends and the good people at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Let's finish up the second hour with some Grind My Gears.
What's getting you upset these days? Is it Dan? Well, then keep it to yourself. If it's something else, then get it off your chest. It's Grind My Gears Tuesday.
My Grind My Gears is simply just directed at Surveyor Sam. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going with this. We kind of alluded to it just a little bit ago, but the Jordan Love stuff from the last few days. So if you missed it, there was a little video out there that Jordan Love had made for somebody who was in France. I think he's doing a camp with Justin Fields and such, but he posts up there. He was doing it for a fan. And said, you know, happy Father's Day to all the Bears fans. Go Pack, go. And people just got upset with Jordan Love about it. And Love even tweeted yesterday, was asked to do a special favor for this fan. Didn't think much of it. But I see you all really took it and ran with it regardless. I hope everyone had a great Father's Day. You know, I kind of find it funny a little bit that the Packers quarterback is, going out and wishing Happy Father's Day to all the Bears fans, because one, it'd be kind of funny if Aaron Rodgers was still the quarterback for Green Bay, and he said, Happy Father's Day to all the Bears fans there, because Aaron Rodgers is like the Bears' father and such. But I don't know. I didn't take it like, oh, why would Jordan Love do this to Bears fans? What a disgrace. What is he doing? You can't be doing that. Just simmer down, for crying out loud. I kind of thought it was kind of funny that it was the Packers quarterback wishing Bears fans, and he ends it by saying, "Go Pack, go." For crying out loud, let's just take a chill pill here a little bit. Let's back up. And then I noticed it was yesterday. This was from a few days ago, but one Adam Schefter was like posting a graphic about it and such. But it was like Schefter posted this picture of Jordan Love with a quote from Jair Alexander, where Jair, was it last week in the locker room? When, he kind of came up from behind Jordan Love and gave him a hug and such and said, best quarterback in the league. Schefter goes out there, posts a graphic of, a picture of Jordan Love with a quote from Jair, says best quarterback in the league. And that got everybody all riled up and just like, what the heck is, I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's not a news story. That's nothing to be even posting out there to get comments. All it is just to get comments and clicks and all that sort of stuff, and just drawing, chatter where chatter doesn't need to be drawn. It's so ridiculous. I saw that up on Facebook and Twitter yesterday. I'm like, good Lord. First of all, it's a few days old, but what are we doing here? Come on. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Trying to find just those little things and trying to make something into nothing. Hate that. Grinds my gears, man. So, all right. As we mentioned, coming up next hour, we'll begin it talking with the Express. The Express returning home, falling to first place Rochester last night, 3-2. But they return home to take on the first place Rochester Hunkers tonight. Doubleheader at Carson Park tomorrow. First pitch at 11:05 tomorrow night and 6:35 tomorrow night. First pitch tonight is at 6:35. So we'll chat with them. We'll chat a little bit with RJ Cardinal at the bottom end of this hour too. Should also note, shout out to Eau Claire Regis pitcher Cole Selvig, who was named the Wisconsin Baseball Coaches Association Division IV Player of the Year. So congrats to Cole there. That's pretty darn cool. So we'll talk some baseball with the Express coming up, and then as mentioned, Badger stuff with RJ. JJ Watt heading into the UW Athletic Hall of Fame. No surprise there, right? No big surprise. If you haven't had a chance to make your picks yet, send me a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line of the Packers player you think isn't getting talked enough about so far this offseason. Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? Got a lot of different ones out there. No right or wrong answer in this thing. 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back after these news updates.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Well, deputies say a Wisconsin Rapids man told them he thought he hit a mailbox over the weekend, but investigators say he tried to hide damage to his truck, and the Wood County Sheriff's Office says deputies arrested Cody Provers for a Friday hit and run in the town of Seneca that sent a mom to the hospital. Sheriff's Office there saying he hit a woman while she was walking with her child alongside of the road. Now, the child was not hurt. The mom remains in the hospital. As we look to other headlines, the search continues, but now Sauk County say the 13-year-old they're looking for is likely better prepared than first thought. Sheriff's Office has been looking for 13-year-old James Yablonsky for a week, and we've been following this and talking about it, though deputies say they believe he has more food and supplies than originally thought, and had actually taken a survivalist test mission course ahead of this, though that search continues today. Police in Verona say a driver they stopped for going over 100 miles per hour over the weekend was not drunk. Officers pulled the driver over just before noon Saturday. The driver was going 106 miles an hour down Verona Road. That's a 65 mile per hour zone. And after a few sobriety tests, police said the driver was not drunk, but they did issue a slew of tickets for speeding and reckless driving. Well, locally, a lot of lives affected as families are tackling what to do next after Hutchinson yesterday announced another round of layoffs, more than 50 workers losing jobs. They made that announcement in a filing with the state, and it comes on the heels of the last round when HTI dropped over 200 workers. You probably remember that announcement, which was back in March. And what's that brings all the boys to the yard? Today, it's National Vanilla Milkshake Day. How about shaking it up for us, Bree?
Created in 1922 by Ivor Colson, an employee at a Walgreens store, most are blended, but it's okay if you don't. YouGov says vanilla is the most popular ice cream flavor in America, and today it's the only way to go. The original milkshakes date back to 1884, but they were more of an eggnog drink and had whiskey in them, which is okay, but not at work. Today we celebrate milk vanilla ice cream and a dash of vanilla extract. That's all. Maybe some whipped cream on top. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
You know, I said, Casper, turn it upside down. Smile a little bit, not so much with the frown. And he said, no, a smile is okay,
but not at work.
Oh, okay. For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
A very mild morning to kick us off with a few places into the 60s and 70s, and we'll have plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will be warming up fairly quickly throughout the morning and into the afternoon, eventually topping out into the upper 80s, potentially low 90s. Not a lot of humidity to go along with it today. Otherwise, mainly clear tonight, dipping to the low 60s, and those upper 80s and low 90s stick around through Saturday. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, June 23rd, with Carl's Barbecue Express. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Let me ask you something. Did you name your firstborn after a football player?
Hell yeah.
Did you spend your honeymoon going to a football game?
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Do you spend most of your free time hanging out in your man cave?
Yes!
If you answered yes to all the above, then you, my friend, are a serious sports fan just like Dan.
Yes!
This is exactly where you belong. Sports talking and BSing is what we do best.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
So rise and grind, people, because the Dan Kasper Show is on the air.
You serious, Clark?
Right now.
Showtime!
Third and final hour on this Tuesday morning, kicking off right now. Appreciate you all tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in on this fine Tuesday morning of June 20th. Coming up, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal at the bottom end of this hour, Badger analyst from the Zone in Madison. I know the Badger Athletic Department's been announcing their Hall of Fame members. The most recent one, I don't think a lot of people would argue that one with J.J. Watts getting inducted into the UW Athletic Hall of Fame. But we'll catch up on all things with Badgers with RJ at the bottom of the hour. We lead things off, as we usually do every Tuesday morning, catching up with our good friends from the Eau Claire Express, and Sammy sent over the owner again. This
she wanted the morning off. Yeah,
Craig Toyson joining us in studio again. How you doing, bud? Good to see you.
Doing great. Yeah, good to see you.
Have a good Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, we my wife's family's cabin had a big anniversary party, so we're up there, actually close to your old
Nice.
neck of the woods up in the Gilman area,
Yeah.
and then Sunday just kind of spent relaxing. I had a huge personal victory last night. My septic system is slowly failing at my house, and I know there's a second system there. We've been in there about 3 years, and after searching for about a week, I finally found the sewer vent that had all been the sprinkler vent that had been all sodded over and stuff. So
Yeah.
I found that so I can make the switch over to the other drainage field. So
Nice.
huge victory at our house last night. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So, well, good to see you had a good Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, it was good.
Enjoyed some of the weather out there too, and it's a
Absolutely.
beautiful country over there too. So,
Yep.
The Express, meanwhile, they will be returning home. We were talking a little bit with Sammy with it last week. It's kind of been a weird schedule for the first month.
Yeah, it's been a grind for the guys. You know, I think I've mentioned we're hosting 2 players, and one of our temporary players is gone, but the other permanent player has come now. And boy, I think that since the guy showed up last Thursday, I think I've seen him for a combined 20 minutes. I mean,
Wow.
it's just been a grind for them ever since they left to go to. We had a couple off days, and then they went to Bismarck and Minot, and then home for a couple games against Duluth, and then up to Thunder Bay, and then down to Rochester last night. So glad to get them home and in their own beds last night.
Yeah, for a couple days, 3 games, because we got the doubleheader tomorrow, Country Nights with our sister station Wax tonight as well. So that should be fun going up against the first place Rochester. That's the quickest way to make up ground, right? Is going up against those teams.
Yeah, exactly. And then Duluth is still in the hunt too. But unfortunately, we kind of let one get through our hands last night. That game was there for the taking, and Isaac Lyon pitched phenomenal. Another great outing for him. A lot of hits, just didn't quite get it done in the crunch time or with guys in scoring positions. So it's the nice thing. It's right there. And this team kind of struggled the same way last year, early on the road, and then the home stretch, which we have a lot of home games in July.
Yes,
really kind of helped put us over the stretch, and I'm hoping that will be the same thing this year.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned with a lot of it on the road, and one thing I wanted to ask you is so. You're hosting a player and such. What is a player schedule like during the day of a game, like a home game or something like that? What are they normally doing?
They're college kids, so what they like to sleep in.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't see them in the morning when I'm up and out of the house at 7:30 usually. But they get up, have a little breakfast. A lot of them are going to class, so they're doing online virtual school. One of our guys is doing some classes this summer, just because. I got to imagine just seeing what those guys do in their spring semesters. They don't have a lot of time for school, which is kind of counterintuitive with the phrase of student athlete, but they work hard. So they get classes done during the daytime, usually hitting down at Momentum at Dale's Place there at 1-ish, and then kind of free for a few hours until it's time to go to the ballpark. So they'll find another player's house. They'll go to Shields. They'll go to Eau Claire Fitness and work out because they're a great partner of ours. Work their way to the stadium so they can get there, hour and a half for the game and ready to go when the gates open.
And that was, I think it was something that was it Sammy or maybe you or Dale were telling me too, like the Northwoods League rules. I think it was Dale, because I asked him like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
with when they first come into town, kind of the Northwoods League rules, and he was telling me about stuff. Like right before a game, you have to be on the field. You can't be out in the parking lot. Like kind of like very detailed. Type of rules.
Yeah, once the gates open, they can't be outside the stadium. So we kind of thought like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to have players not playing take tickets, to kind of build some excitement? That's not in the rules, and we're not pushing the limits of that stuff, but it's good for the image of it. So like once the gates open, players must be in uniform.
Yep.
So we've had to worry about that stuff just to make sure the guys are understand that stuff, and that's where a guy like Vic comes in handy too, because there are so many rules, and he's good at understanding that stuff, and especially like the handling of pitchers and pitch counts and days off and all that stuff. Got to take those arms seriously, because college programs are lending you their talent. You don't want to take advantage of that and ruin those relationships.
That's got to be something with Vic and the position that he's in. You're right, and I know Dale kind of mentioned it too. But those innings restrictions and the amount of pitches. I mean, you've got to be detail oriented.
Yeah, and I think if anybody watches the games on TV or watches at the ballpark, Vic is a very detail oriented guy. He's charted pitches for every game he's ever been to, and I can't imagine what kind of volumes of libraries he's got.
That'd be something to look at, down the road or something like that.
But the nice thing about him is he can tell you every pitcher ever played for him, I'm sure. So
that's amazing too. So as we mentioned tonight, they're taking on Rochester. The Express taking on Rochester. It's Country Nights. And this is also retro jersey
nights
tonight too.
The players have been begging to wear them ever since they won the first time on your night here at our second home game back on the 2nd. So excited to get those back out, and I know the guys are excited to wear them.
Absolutely. And I saw just on the speaking of a little bit of swag there too, I saw some of the players modeling some of the new swag on the social media.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun this year. As we've seen with our new pro shop this year, there's a lot more room to carry things, and we've always seen an expansion of that. We had a cold night on the 15th. It was mustard night, I think it was. It got really cold. and we sold out of sweatshirts. That was kind of a shocker to us, but we've restocked, and hats off to Close Up Apparel and Sammy and Alice in our market department, and Michelle in our market department, and the work that they've done to work with them to get stuff together to restock those shelves. But kind of fun to get the players out there and showing off the gear. And I took home one of the baby blue retro sweatshirts tonight, and both guys over at me said, I got to pick up one of those, but I hear they're sold out. I'm like, oh, we'll restock. Don't worry. So
yeah, I know when we were there just the other night, or I think it was when you caught us in the pro shop for our night too. My wife was eyeing up a couple sweatshirts. So I'm like, you know what? Our 10-year anniversary is in a couple days here. We're going to the game tonight in a doubleheader. I might do some shopping
there you go.
to pick it up, because she was eyeing up a couple of those sweatshirts. It was in the kid sizes, but Sammy said, we got them in the women's now too. So I'm like, all right.
Yep. Expanding stuff out as the season goes on here.
Exactly. So you got, looking at this too with the schedule here. Yeah, you guys are like third or fourth place standings. But the thing is, with your division, you're only a couple games back.
Yeah, it's tight. I think we're 2 games going into last night, so 3 games back right now, but playing one more against Rochester. So that is a good opportunity. Hosting lacrosse tomorrow night for 2, and they've, after starting the season 3-0, they actually lost 12 in a row. Then they went on a little mini win streak again, but they're struggling this year, and I think it's been shown that we play pretty well at home. And then again, another 2-game set with Rochester. So I mean, there's really a chance to flip the division here in the next couple of days if things go our way and if the environment's right at Carson Park.
Right, exactly. And you mentioned, I was going to actually ask you, by being on the road quite a bit, and now you're going to be kind of playing more games at home coming up here, especially in the next month of July too. How well you guys have played at Carson Park. That's going to give you some optimism. I don't know if that'd be the right word.
No, and we're still getting, that we had some guys banged up, and the first trip to Thunder Bay is always tough because there's some guys who don't have passports.
Yeah.
And, if you watch those games on TV, you could see that we kind of had a depleted roster, and Isaac Line stepped in as our starting pitcher last night, stepped in as a DH for those couple games. I mean, it was a thin roster for that stretch. So I don't take those losses too much to heart, but there's a lot of opportunity in this division this year to make up some ground in a hurry, and to get these home games where we know the environment at Carson Park is always rocking. If the team comes out and plays hot right away, it's going to be a great environment to play ball in.
Absolutely. So we know tonight's country night, tomorrow, I shouldn't say just tomorrow night, because you got the doubleheader there, but that's for the kiddos and the teachers. For tomorrow too.
To me, I think it's brilliant. We got kids in the morning and then teachers in the evening. They need a little break, a little separation. Right now. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so the kids game is always a lot of fun at 11:05 tomorrow. A lot of the area daycares come for the afternoon, or for the morning and afternoon, and enjoy that time at the ballpark. We changed the soundtrack a little bit, letting it pretty kid friendly, and listening to 500-600 kids all screaming out SpongeBob SquarePants theme song is always a lot of fun. And then teacher appreciation night's a lot of fun too. My wife is an educator, and I know her friends can cut back and hang loose. So yeah, it's always a lot of fun to get the teachers there and to thank them for all that they've done for all of our kids this year.
Absolutely. And that's a shout out to Marshfield Clinic for that for tomorrow night. And then you're looking at the 23rd and the 24th here. Tyler's amazing balancing act coming up on the 23rd, and then the 24th, presented by Eau Claire Fitness, one of your partners that you just mentioned there.
Yeah.
Sock giveaway.
Yeah.
So you got that coming up there too.
I haven't even seen them yet, so I'm kind of excited to get my eyes on those. But I will say Tyler's amazing balancing act. I don't know if I've seen another guy come to a ballpark who gets a crowd as engaged as he does. He's a great act. If you get a chance to come see him play, it's just as simple as he balances stuff. But I've never seen a guy work a crowd so well. And you would not believe the stuff that he can balance. I've seen all sorts of crazy things. So I'm looking forward to loading my pockets up with just dumb stuff to bring forward and balance on his nose.
That's another great night too for the kids, for the youngsters.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. And he just he'll be working his way through the grandstand and getting everybody rallied up. And he's a lot of fun to have. Yeah.
When you look at, I know you got like multiple different divisions when it comes to the Northwoods League. It's not just two, obviously you're paying attention to your division. But how much do you pay attention to other teams in other divisions? Is that something you kind of focus on, or are you more hyper-focused within yours?
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but I'm kind of I think Major League Baseball's kind of gotten that way too, where I think, we could all talk about the Brewers, we could all talk about the Twins if you're a Twins fan, and you'd know some of the key players in the Cardinals or Cubs or, Pirates, but I don't know if people pay attention to the way, you wouldn't necessarily know the Rockies or the Mariners anymore the way you would otherwise.
Right.
And I think it's kind of gotten like that where I'm hyper focused on the Express. So I know some of the lacrosse guys, some of the Duluth guys, the Honkers, just because we play them so much, the Tampa Bay. schedule oddities this year. We don't even play Mankato. We don't even play St. Cloud. So that's kind of an odd thing. But I just don't watch the West near as much. When we do play like a Minot for 4 games in a row, you sure get to know those guys because you've seen them 4 straight nights. But it's more, to me, where I'm at, it's more about watching what promotions teams are doing. I have a special Twitter follower. I just am literally, I got a list of all the teams and their GMs and see what they're posting so we can basically all rip each other off. If it works for one team, it can work for us too. And that's kind of been the motto. And that's where it's right. So I think I watch that stuff more than I watch specific teams. But I know like Wilmer's killing it this year. So I'm not looking forward to playing them when that comes up here. So
now, so with MLB, as you kind of mentioned there too, but with Major League Baseball, and I get this would be hard for Northwoods League with travel wise. Would you like to see a little bit more of a balanced schedule like Major League Baseball is kind of doing here a little bit? Maybe playing over in Wausau, Madison, or anything like that.
Yeah, to me, I don't think the league parity is that big of a deal. I mean, obviously, you want to see your team do well and win games. I think that everyone agrees that's a great thing. But I would love to be able to play Wausau, Wisconsin Rapids, Green Bay, Madison. I'm hoping at some point, Hudson gets off the ground. It seems like it's really close to happening that'll go. And I think that we could actually have a whole on Wisconsin division, which would be a lot of fun. I'd hate to not play, Rochester or St. Cloud or Duluth, but I would love to see a little bit of an unbalance actually where, they look at us in Eau Claire and say, all right, let's have them go play Wausau. Let's have them go play Rapids and build up some of those rivalries where we know the cities could get behind that. And, it'd be fun to get buses together to go to Wausau, which they've got a great ballpark over there. Mark McDonald's a good friend of mine, the owner over there. And it'd be fun to build that rivalry up. So I'm hoping that comes in the next couple of years.
Because, I don't know this off the top of my head, but maybe you would know. I would think Wisconsin, with the amount of teams that they have in the north, are they the state with the most? Do you know off the top of your head? Or
Definitely. Minnesota's not too far behind, with some of the teams that they've got. But we've got. There's Kenosha Kingfish. There's the Lakeshore Chinooks, the Green Bay Rockers, Madison,
Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac's got a team. There's a bunch here in Wisconsin, and that goes back to. There's a real strong minor league heritage here. They're going back, to the same era that Carson Park was built back in the 30s. That a lot of those stadiums were built. Wisconsin Rapids is the same kind of era. Wausau, I think, is even older. I think there was a stadium there since like 1900. It's pretty crazy how far that goes back. But it's cool to see that the cities have kept those up and kept them running. And I think that there's a real strong town ball culture there. And it's a great baseball area, and it just goes back generations. I know. My dad talks about the Braves and the Bears when he was a kid, and I know he had uncles that would go see them play back in the 30s and 40s when Carson Park was first opening. So it's cool to hear those stories of the heritage.
Yeah, because I was in Rapids. I was working at the YMCA when they brought back the rafters. Now what they were and all that, but kind of hearing the history of I think were they with the Twins? I think way back in the day.
Yeah, like Gary Getty, Kent Herbeck both got their starts there. So they used to be the Wisconsin Rapids. I think Twins essentially was the team name. And if you ever look online, they had the all-time worst hats. It was a WR, and half of them were crooked. It was a terrible uniform. So it's kind of funny to look back and see that they were playing minor league ball up there into the late 70s, early 80s. But it's
over
cool.
at Witter Field.
Exactly.
And then I think when they first came over there, some of the bleachers I think came from County Stadium, or some of the seats over there.
I think you're right.
When they first brought them back, so it's kind of an intertwining of little Brewers culture, then little Twins culture into that too. So
so there's cool heritages in all these towns.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really cool about Northwoods League ball, because you have that history, as you mentioned there too. So it'd be interesting, if Hudson gets on the ground too, having a little Minnesota, a little Wisconsin, division, and all that sort of stuff there too.
And anytime we can get our fans engaged going to away games, and vice versa, have them come in, it just adds to the ambiance and the environment when. When one of our guys strikes out at our home stadium, you can hear people cheer, and it's kind of like, what, it just raises the tension a little bit. So I love having opposing fans come to our crowd once in a while. I sure want them to overtake the stadium, but it just adds to the environment.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember as a kid, I always said I liked playing on the road just because to play that upset. Type of role sometimes. So
fun to break people's hearts.
Exactly. So one thing I like to do when we kind of get a little bit more into the season is highlight a couple players or a few players.
Sure.
Because now we're 19 games into the season, 20 games into the season. Is there a couple players that for you personally that you think have kind of really stood out that you'd like to maybe give some special shout outs.
Sure.
So
Well,
far?
I got to shout out the two guys living with me. First
Right,
and
yeah,
foremost.
exactly.
So Ryan Nagelbach and Cole Connor both living with us there from University of Illinois Chicago, and they're great kids. And I had Jason Kroll to start the year too, and it was a really bittersweet goodbye to say goodbye to him because he was awesome from Lewis University. So his teammates with Matt Helwig.
So was he going playing somewhere else, or just a short?
No, he's just
stint,
on a 30-day contract,
Okay.
and then just you never know how this stuff's going to work out. It's I've been very clear with everybody. That's why I stay a fan rather than involved in the baseball side, because I get attachments in a hurry, and I let that cloud my judgment with that stuff. So I that's great for Dale to do. Let him handle that because he is not sentimental that way at all. So but Cole and Ryan have been great. Ryan, I think, has got 4 homers this year, so he's right up toward the top of the league. I think the league leader's got 5 right now, maybe 6. But they've been great. It's been fun to watch. Bronson Rivera's played some great defense at first base. Reed Latimer, I've talked about him all the time out in right field. I don't think I've seen a stronger arm live other than maybe the major league level anywhere. And he's got a couple assists already again this year. The other night he gunned out 2 different guys.
I was watching
he's
that.
got a cannon for an arm. So he's always a lot of fun to watch. Isaac Lyon's been great pitching. Cal Higgins has been great pitching. I mean, there's been a lot of guys really starting to stand out this year. So it's been a lot of fun.
Definitely. So that's actually Hudson peeking in there a little bit there.
He's welcome
there. So that's why I kind of gave him the wave over there too. So no, it's the one thing too that I feel like, and I know I've kind of mentioned it a couple times with Samuel Dale. It seems like a lot of your players have versatility, position versatility.
Yeah.
You mentioned a pitcher playing DH, the other day because it's shortstop, but guys playing different spots in the field too.
Yep.
Is the team too, like a lot of guys bring that.
I think it's
versatility.
important at this level, especially when you're filling out your roster, that you have guys who can play multiple positions. So like the 2 guys living with me, Cole catches, he plays first base, he's played right field. Ryan can play first, second, short. I think he plays even a little bit of third base too. And, I know guys can play all the ways. I know Reed can play right field and first, and all the outfielders can play all 3 positions. It's important to have versatility just because you never know how injuries are going to go, or if guys got to head back to college or whatever else. So yeah, to have versatility is really a huge thing. And I know like last year Spencer Wright played some left field for us when he wasn't pitching just because he had that ability. So it's cool to see that stuff.
Is that something that's kind of all across the league, or do you think that's something that you and Dale kind of really hyper focus on when you're building that team?
I think Dale does focus on it, but I would assume it's kind of around there across the league. I mean, I see the same names playing. I know they'll switch positions once in a while, but I guess I don't hyper watch them as much as the same way as our team. But I know that's something that Dale's always looking for. And I think he's really gravitated towards the last couple seasons is he loves speed guys. And I think that makes for exciting baseball. DJ Massey's amazingly fast, and Dallin Quigley's been banged up, but he's quick. And, Nate Whitty from UW Clay right here playing for us, a quick guy. A lot of fast guys playing for us. Caden Gallison is unbelievably fast. So it's been fun to watch those guys.
Yeah, you guys are really aggressive on the base pass.
Yeah, and like I said, it makes for exciting baseball. It's great to see a guy from second score on a single. It's great to see a guy try to make the third base on a play like that. And some of the great tag ups. And I think it just makes for more exciting baseball than just, obviously home runs are great, but the long ball is what it is. And we've seen it for years and years. And I think sometimes that small baseball can be a lot of fun.
And putting pressure on the opposing defense too, to make the plays.
And I think we see that a lot where they, force that extra throw and eventually a mistake's going to happen. And especially at home and last year when we had so many walk-off victories, the speed that we had in the base paths were a big reason for that.
We actually got a text here. This is from John, who's texting in saying, can't wait to head back to Carson Park. I've noticed that the environment and the crowd is getting more into it this year. Is that something that you made sure to focus on this offseason?
It's something I definitely focused on personally. I think the pitch clock has really helped with that. I do think the engagement stays up because the games do fly by. There's not such a lull between pitches, but yeah, I think I've talked about a little bit that I went and have looked at other stadiums to see what they do well and what other teams do well, because the last thing I want to do is assume we have all the answers here. And when I look at what they were doing, there's a lot of stuff to build hype during the game. So like our Jacobson's Meat Market snack stick toss that we have, and that was something I stole from St. Cloud. It's like, people love coupons, they're great, but man, if you can give an instant gratification, the t-shirt toss we're doing at the end of the game when we win, all those things are awesome to help build engagement at that moment. So yeah, man, that's we've made a conscious effort to really increase the environment, keep people more engaged, and keep them in their seats. And that's, we've had some growing pains with like our catch ordering, just as the Carson Park is the concessions are limited, and we had 2,300 fans last Friday night, which is a great crowd. But we're still working our way through on how we can best serve those fans in that situation. But the idea is keep them in their seats, So if we can serve food to them in their seats, if they can quick pick up orders and come back and sit down, things like that we're working on to keep them watching the actual game of baseball.
Absolutely. And Adam just texted in too. Can't wait to check out the doubleheader tomorrow. Taking my whole family and the kiddos. #all aboard.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Yeah, I mean, it's always a fun day. It's that morning game is just kind of surreal to see all the kids there, and just it's a cool environment that day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's I told Hudson, I'm like, hey, do you want to go? Because he was asking when we can go. Well, we're going tonight. And I'm like, what do you want to go day game tomorrow? It's like,
probably makes sense. Just sleep in the parking lot makes more sense.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Exactly. So again, reminder, tonight is Country Nights, our sister station Wax 104.5.
I may or may not have a cowboy hat. We'll see.
I saw you wear a cowboy hat. Now I didn't know we could get in that
Yellowstone
Yellowstone
in the backseat of my
thing.
car.
We could get in that Yellowstone here. You got a little rip action, man.
Well, I
don't know
wear
if
a
you've watched
polo tie. I
Yellowstone.
don't know if that goes with Yellowstone. Yeah.
You could, a little fancier. It's like the show shirts or something like that they call. So
I'll be the oil baron.
But that's coming up on
more
July
JR
1st.
from Dallas is what I am.
Oh, there you go. Now that's a little. I'm more of the. Is he the guy who was Frank on Step by Step?
No, that's Bobby.
That was Bobby.
Now
Okay.
I'm dating myself. That I'm only 42. You might not believe that I can.
You're only about 4 years older.
Yeah,
than me,
shout
so.
out Dallas characters. But, yeah.
Okay, so that was a different one. That's the only one I know.
Larry Hagman was JR. That's the one, the famous shooting. Yeah.
Patrick Duffy is that the guy's name?
Yeah, that was Bobby. Yeah.
Okay, that was Bobby.
This is the stuff fans want to hear, right? They want to talk about a show from the 1980s.
We started from Country Night Tonight to Yellowstone to
Dallas. Let's get to the $6 million man next.
Right.
Really get people enthralled.
Exactly. So we got that, and then I know just kind of we kind of already hit up some of the other ones coming up this weekend here too. So, but
yeah, it'll be a fun weekend. We got some cool stuff coming along.
Yep, and more games coming up in July. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you'll be happy about that.
Can't wait. Yeah, I mean the long
because even like the interns, it's kind of like game, off day, a couple days, a little bit, or not a game, I should say.
We
and then
4 in a row right away, start the season, then a couple of days off. And I know they enjoyed that stretch, but now this will be a grind again. But it's the one off day in between there's kind of great. And if it gets too long of a homestand, you see fans kind of start to lose engagement too. So this will be perfect. Have a couple games here on the road, couple games back. The weather's going to be awesome, so I can't wait for that. So it's going to be a fun weekend of baseball.
Do you know off the top here, right before I let you go, where that halfway mark is? Is it? It's got to be coming up here, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think it's
soon
the
here.
July 4th weekend is kind of considered the halfway point of the year. So we got some work to get there between now and then. But I looking at the schedule and looking at our guys. Stanford unfortunately eliminated; they're coming in, so we'll get a couple guys from them. Looking forward to seeing Cal Poly's wrapping up school, so we'll get the rest of our squad here very shortly, and we'll be ready to rock.
Reloaded. Yep, it's exciting times. So get on down to the ballpark tonight, and if you got the kiddos for tomorrow, the doubleheader against Lacrosse. Would you say that's your kind of rival? You talked about rivalries.
Oh, yeah, definitely it's Lacrosse. Although I being at Duluth, we have now beat Duluth 10-0 in the last 2 seasons of the regular season, and then 0-2 against them in the playoffs. So
that's another one I'd put in there too.
Yeah, they're my Dallas Cowboys. I'd like to knock them off this year. So
that's a good comparison. I like that. Craig, appreciate you stopping in. Always love chatting with you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna take a quick break, and RJ Cardinal from the Zone from Madison, he's coming up after these quick words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Price, quality, customer service. That's the big 3 I look for when I'm looking to get a big project done. And sometimes it can be hard to find all those 3 in one place. But when it comes to replacing your flooring, one place hits all 3 of my marks. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. They hit the pricing mark because they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Quality is pretty easy because they have all the best and top-of-the-line flooring options that you could ask for. They carry the best brands in carpet, tile, luxury vinyl, and more. And customer service. I could talk to you throughout this entire commercial about their customer service. It's easily one of the best, most courteous, helpful, and friendly staffs you could work with. They're with you through every step of the process, from finding the floor that fits your budget and what looks good and works best in your home or office. Taking on big projects can be a little nervous to think about, but when it comes to replacing your flooring, that nervousness goes away with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Just visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and see for yourself.
The brands you trust, prices you'll like, the service you'll love every time you buy. Appliances for your home at Amundsen.
It's grillin', chillin', and spillin' time. From grass stains to barbecue sauce, Amundsen's has you covered with hot buys from Samsung laundry sets from $14.99 while in-stock quantities last. Come to Amundsen's in Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, Rice Lake, or Hayward, or shop us online at Amundsen'sAppliance.com.
Amundsen.
Hunters, are you looking for a brand new firearm to take with you to the woods? Or maybe you want to save a little money and are looking at getting a high quality used firearm? Whatever the case may be, if you're looking for a rifle for, say, deer hunting or shotgun for your turkey hunting adventures, look no further than Tilden Gun. Tilden Gun features a wide selection of new and used firearms. And if you're looking for a particular firearm, Tilden Gun will help you find that firearm for you. And plus, they have a wall of handguns for you to check out as well. And you know you're going to need some ammo, targets, cases, scopes, and other accessories too. Well, Tilden Gun has all the accessories you need to properly outfit your firearm to hit the woods. Tilden Gun has the biggest selection, all at the best prices in the Chippewa Valley. So here's what you do. You could visit tildengun.com to see what all Tilden Gun has to offer. And you can stop by Tilden Gun and check out their amazing shop and see what they all have in store. Visit Tilden Gun today at 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls.
Economy Furniture in Chippewa Falls is something that you gotta see. The biggest selection for miles around, 2 jam-packed floors of quality. At Economy, you don't have to wait for a sale. It can be yours immediately. Everyday low prices on the best brand names, and we finance it interest-free. Furnishing the Chippewa Valley since 1950. Economy Furniture's for me.
There aren't many people as sports smart as he is, so he tries to use tiny words so people like me can easily follow along.
That doesn't make sense.
The Dan Kasper Show.
Big thanks to Express owner Craig Toyson again for stopping on in. Express back in town tonight for Country Nights, taking on the first place Rochester Honkers. Doubleheader tomorrow as they take on the La Crosse Loggers, 11:05 tomorrow for that day game if you want to take the kiddos down to Carson Park and watch a little baseball. Switching gears here, let's talk some Badgers with our dude, Mr. RJ Cardinal, joining us this morning. How you doing, RJ? Good to hear. Good to see you, or good to talk to you, I should say, bud.
I'm actually seeing you right now. I got the YouTube up right now. So.
I'm sorry that you have to see that. That's
Oh, don't apologize to me. Apologize to anybody else who's on there watching you.
Yeah, right.
I've seen you before.
Oh, man. Wow. All right. That's how we're starting it. Okay. Good. Hey, RJ, I know there's not a ton going on right now, but what the Badgers are doing is they're announcing their Hall of Fame class. Is it a person a day that they're kind of doing right now?
It seems that way. I think it's just Monday through Friday because I don't think there were any over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I didn't think
not
so
that I
either.
remember.
Gotcha.
Because I forget how they put picture frames up, and I'm trying to remember how many picture frames were up there. But yeah, so it looks like they're announcing maybe every day. But like I said, I don't know if they did it over the weekend. But yeah, so they're getting ready for their Athletic Hall of Fame announcements. Then they'll have the whole class. They go and do, well, let's see, how many picture frames are here now? 1, 2,
I think they got
3, 4,
13?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13? Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that's a big class.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that seemed like a really big class. And well, I mean, they've added a big name yesterday with J.J. Watt on there. So, I mean, that's,
yeah.
I don't know who else they I know they've announced a few, but I don't know who they got coming up. But I would say that's probably one of the biggest, and not the biggest name so far on that Hall of Fame class.
Yeah, there's that. And Monte Ball.
Oh,
Let's see. Oh, they put outlines of the people. So one, it looks like there's a couple more to be named.
Yeah. Looks like they're doing it
Brianna
on the,
Decker for women's hockey was on there, so that's a pretty big one as well.
It looks like they're doing it every couple days. So the 21st, the 23rd, 26th, 28th, and 30th. They're announcing that.
Yeah,
so.
there you go.
All right. So no big surprise with JJ Watt, but I wanted to ask you, because JJ was he there when you were there? I always get it mixed up, or were you already gone before JJ got there?
I was gone when JJ got
okay,
there.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But, JJ, when we all saw, we know the story, right? Walk on, or he was over in Michigan a little bit, pizza delivery and all that sort of stuff. Did at any point you think JJ Watt would become the JJ Watt that we know and love right now?
I mean, it was one of those stories where there wasn't a lot of fanfare, even with him transferring, It was started as a walk-on just to fill a spot, and then it just became all of a sudden, who's this guy? So, I mean, unassumingly, I don't think anybody could say they would have expected to see what he's done. And then, he has the couple of seasons here at Wisconsin that turned him into a national name, that turned him into an NFL star and defensive player of the year. And, it's another one of those Wisconsin walk-on stories. Even though it wasn't maybe the kind of, 4-year, like right into Wisconsin kind of stories that we're used to telling about the walk-on program here. But still, yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody who would have predicted the trajectory that his career went on once he got here on campus.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we got a question for you from a texter. Big Worm texted in. Question for Mr. Cardinal. Who's more impressive right now at the quarterback position? So stoked for Badger football.
Well, you'd have to go with maybe Braden Locke, only because I think no matter what, this year is Mordecai's year. There's not going to be a quarterback competition this year. We won't see anybody else unless it's garbage time and or an injury happens. But it does seem in terms of Braden Locke, he was also in a system that's much closer to what Longo's running since he was down at Mississippi State, where Mike Leach was prior to his passing, and Longo likes to consider himself a disciple that air raid system, but with some power run game elements to it. So it seems he's picked up the offense a lot quicker than anybody else in that room, currently in that room. So I kind of like what I see out of Locke. But like I said, it's going to be the Tanner Mordecai show this fall, unless something drastic happens.
Yeah, because I know there's been some people kind of down, maybe down a little bit on Mordecai after the spring game, but like you're saying, RJ, this is Mordecai's year, regardless of how he looked in the spring game or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's not coming here for his final year of college football if he's not promised the starting position. It's just how it goes. I mean, you don't transfer somewhere for 1 year unless you're given all opportunities to be that number one guy.
Now, let's say things don't go that great for Badger football this year for whatever reasons, and say, maybe he's not playing well. Then could you see maybe towards like the last couple games of the season, a change in quarterback?
Well, I think it depends on how not well it's going, because I don't think you're waiting around until the last few games to try to change your luck. If you do have to move on to your future, you probably see Braden Locke get in there a little sooner than anyone would think. But I can't put the spring game on and turn that on and just see the interceptions and say, oh, maybe this was a bad idea to bring this guy in. Because you look at his body of work, and I mean, whatever you want to say about what conference he was playing in, what team he was playing for, all that kind of stuff. 7,700 yards is a pretty darn good career so far, and just the amount of offense he helped create. I'd rather take the whole body of work than the first couple of months within, even if he's running something similar, it's a new system. First couple of months in a new system, in a new place, and against a defense that is going up against that system every day. At some point it becomes more of an advantage for the defense in terms of a spring game, because you really at least do the kind of stuff for contact and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to put a lot of faith into just one spring game. I'd rather see and hear what's going on during fall camp this year, and then once you actually start going up against a different opponent rather than the same guys you've been going up against for the spring and then into fall camp, there's just too much familiarity there.
Mm-hmm. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, joining us here this morning. Now, I know, Barry Elvis the other day in an interview was talking about Luke Fickell, and he said, I've known him for a long time and watched from afar. What he did at Cincinnati is big time, so he knows what it takes to win, what type of player it takes. And at Cincinnati, they don't have any 5 stars. They're coaching the heck out of them. I'm really excited for the future of our program. My question is purely speculative. Do you think at any point when McIntosh was trying to figure out who he was going to hire, was it going to be Leonard? Was it going to be Luke Fickell? Could he get Luke Fickell? Do you think at any point did they? I guess what I'm going to flat out ask: do you think they went to Barry Alvarez and said, "Hey, what do you think of this? Do we have the Godfather's blessing if we make this hire?" Essentially.
I don't know. It's really one of those. I think had it gone that way, I think he might have told him to hire Jim Leonard, just because that was kind of his hiring process. I wouldn't say absolutely not. They never talked to him, but for the final blessing, I'm guessing they were just looking. It was probably more of a, hey, here are options. Let us know what you see for pros and cons. Because for what he is, Alvarez is a football guy. Like, he knows football. I think that's pretty evident in what he did to the University of Wisconsin football program here since he stepped on campus as the new head coach in 1990. But I think he's kind of enjoying the not being involved as much, it does seem, especially with his both recent hires, he's not going to that. McIntosh isn't going to that University of Wisconsin bias, and is actually using search firms to help find what could be the best fit for Wisconsin. And like you said, they weren't getting the best, biggest number of stars, all that kind of stuff at Cincinnati. He had a staff that was coaching people up. What do we know about Wisconsin? They'll pull together a class of 3 stars, 2 stars, a couple 4 stars, and make those into NFL-ready players. That's been the history of Wisconsin for quite a while now. So if you're bringing in a coach that has a big name in the college football and can still draw in those same kind of recruits Wisconsin was getting before, whatever you want to stat one way or another, you could have just said, well, you could have stuck with Paul Chryst and see what he did for another year. You could hire Jimmy and had the same results as getting those 3-star guys in and coaching them up. But it turned into where your athletic director thought an overhaul needed to change. What would have happened had Leonard come in? Would there been a full buy-in to the NIL that we apparently have heard Luke Fickell said he is doing, where Paul Chryst seemed to not want to do? It did seem in this day and age of college athletics there did need to be a shakeup there. and at least off the field right now, in the quote-unquote off-season, things are going pretty good for Wisconsin. Their recruiting class isn't at the top 10 like some people projected it would be. It's anywhere from 24 to 11 for the 2024 class, but it's one of those where a lot of things are trending in the positive direction for Wisconsin, and it's still on the national media's lips in terms of people covering college football that Wisconsin is heading in the right direction right now.
Mm-hmm. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, joining us here this morning. So, okay, we're wrapping up June here now, RJ. Kind of give us a little bit of a behind the curtain peek, if you will. Like when does like training camp kind of start for the Badger football team, or where are they at this point in time as they get ready for their season coming up here in a couple months?
Well, for the freshman scholarship players are already getting in on campus, and the rest of the team is back already from their 1.5 week break, and they're already back on doing summer conditioning and 7-on-7s. So they're with the weight staff now up until the end of the month here, where they'll get like a week break, and then come August, they go into fall camp. So I mean, it's pretty straightforward on what we're doing right now. But summer conditioning already in full swing, and we're just counting down the days till fall camp starts. And I don't think I've seen an official date yet. Not gonna lie, haven't really looked because it's not August yet.
Right.
But usually you get about a full 30 days before your first game to start your camp. So we're approaching very quickly the start of college football season. I mean, we were 100 days almost a month ago now, so we're getting there.
Yeah, and I know really quickly before I let you go, for hoops wise, I know we had talked about him a couple weeks ago, but did I see, was it Daniel Freitag made his visit to Madison the other day? I think he was posting up some pictures of his hotel room and some swag that he's got there.
Yeah, he was in all the uniforms. He was posting everywhere. So hopefully that stays.
Yeah.
And then you can add like Khan in there and get another. There's another 4-star they're going after. So hopefully you can get 3, 4/5 stars, depending on where you look, and have Wisconsin's best recruiting class ever there. And you can keep saying it's a tough night for the guard haters during this recruiting period. So and the other 3 are now on campus because that was allowed. And so they're already getting their summer conditioning, summer school, all that kind of stuff going. So we're almost into the next school year. I believe that officially starts July 1st at the turn of the calendar. So it's everything's fastly approaching here. It's a slow time for any real news unless bad stuff happens. But these guys are all getting their summer conditioning in now and reporting to campus pretty much for fall and or the winter sports at least. I saw even hockey was posting the new guys getting onto campus. So it's slowly but surely all coming together, and hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about than speculation soon.
Yeah, and I know that for hoops, they're going to be doing a different tournament this year. Going to be at Fort Myers tip-off, where they will apparently be facing off against the other Wisconsin to the east, Virginia, over there. So
I thought somebody posted the last few scores of there, and
I got it up.
Combined it for 90 something each time.
Yeah, it was the latest one was on 2018. Virginia won 53-46. 2017, Virginia won 49-37, and then Wisconsin won in 2013, 48-38.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we see something in the same. So it's two defensive-minded teams that value their their possessions and try to limit the other team in their possessions. So it'll be one of those that sets basketball back by 50 years. But, if you can run your system, run it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Dude, appreciate it. As always, buddy. Always love chatting with you, Mr. RJ Cardinal. You have a good rest of your week, and we'll catch up soon. Okay, bud?
Absolutely. You too. We will see you next week.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal, Badger analyst from the Zone in Madison. We'll take our final break and then closing up stuff. We're already done for this Tuesday after these quick words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Price, quality, customer service. That's the big three I look for when I'm looking to get a big project done. And sometimes it can be hard to find all those three in one place. But when it comes to replacing your flooring, one place hits all three of my marks. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. They hit the pricing mark because they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Quality is pretty easy because they have all the best and top-of-the-line flooring options that you could ask for. They carry the best brands in carpet, tile, luxury vinyl, and more. And customer service. I could talk to you throughout this entire commercial about their customer service. It's easily one of the best, most courteous, helpful, and friendly staffs you could work with. They're with you through every step of the process, from finding the floor that fits your budget and what looks good and works best in your home or office. Taking on big projects can be a little nervous to think about, but when it comes to replacing your flooring, that nervousness goes away with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Just visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and see for yourself.
The brands you trust, prices you'll like, the service you'll love every time you buy. Appliances for your home at Amundsen's.
It's grillin', chillin', and spillin' time. From grass stains to barbecue sauce, Amundsen's has you covered with hot buys from Samsung laundry sets from $14.99 while in-stock quantities last. Come to Amundsen's in Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, Rice Lake, or Hayward, or shop us online at Amundsen'sAppliance.com.
Amundsen's.
The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here and ready to help. Anyone can call or text 988 or chat via 988wisconsin.org to get connected to a trained Lifeline counselor. Trained counselors are here to support anyone experiencing a suicidal, mental health, or substance use crisis. You can also contact 988 if you are concerned about someone. 988 is confidential and free to all Wisconsin residents. 988 24/7. Call, text, chat. Here to support you. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. In roller derby, it's not a game, it's a bout. And each jam is filled with insane drive blocks and rushing soul crushes that rip shivers through your toe stops. Pace line, pivot line, jam a grand slam, whip a scoring pass, or draw down with rink rash. Yeah, there's a whole lot of insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
Because you can't lap the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find a Ride feature, awesome videos, and more at witrafficsafety.org.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, June 23rd, with Carl's Barbecue Express. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Want to stop engine problems before they start? Pick up a can of Seafoam Motor Treatment. Seafoam helps engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Just pour it in your fuel tank. Seafoam is available where automotive products are sold.
I've been driving commercial vehicles for 20 years. Every big road across this country, anywhere the work takes me, that's where I'm driving. But that's not where I'm going. I'm going to see my little girl graduate high school and my boy get married and to teach my grandkids a thing or two. And I realize Everyone out there is going somewhere. So it just makes sense to help each other get there safely. Let's all get where we're going. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Paid for by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Thanks for listening. And thanks for checking out our live stream on YouTube and Facebook. And thanks for not mentioning that spot on Dan's shirt.
Barbecue stain on my white t-shirt.
I guess that's why he never wears white.
You can't handle the truth.
The Dan Kasper Show.
All right, wrapping it up. We only got a few minutes to the top. A lot of fun this morning. Big thanks to everybody who texted, tweeted, Facebooked, video streamed, commented on there. A lot of fun. Big thanks to all of you. Big thanks to Express owner Craig Toyson for stopping by. Express back in action tonight, taking on Rochester. Doubleheader tomorrow. Maybe we'll see you at the ballpark at Carson Park on one of those games. Big thanks to RJ Cardinal, who was just on. Big thanks to Joe D, who was on last hour too. So it was a lot of fun here this morning. It flew on by like we usually do when we're having fun here. Tonight, game 2. What's on the schedule for tonight? Game 2. We got Brewers versus Diamondbacks. 7:10 first pitch. Colin Ray is going to be getting the start for the Brew Crew. Colin Ray 3-4 on the season. Can he help lead the Brewers to a bounce back victory after their 9-1 loss last night, where Corbin Burns was struggling? We asked how concerned were you on the scale of 1 to 10 about Corbin Burns' play so far this year. And I will just say that the majority of you were between a 4 and a 6. So let's just call it weird 5, right down the middle, making it that simple. So there you go. But it was between 4 and 6 with a lot of you who had texted, tweeted, even sent some Facebook messages on over there too. So, but Brewers will be going up against Mr. Nelson tonight for the Diamondbacks. Ryan Nelson, him and Ray Colin have kind of similar years so far. Both are 3-4. Nelson so far has got a 5.30 ERA. Colin's got a 4.71 ERA. Not really any experience between the two offensive lineups and these starting pitchers outside maybe a couple of bats here and there, but maybe a little bit of an unknown here. But Brewers looking to bounce back. Let's not dig ourselves in a hole early. That would be ideal. Don't dig yourself in a hole early, and then put the Diamondbacks in a hole early. Put up some runs right away and give Colin Ray some breathing room early in this game. So, but you can catch that game on the radio at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Tomorrow, we'll do another edition of Showdown. We've got stock reports, whose stock is rising and whose stock is falling. Think about that for a little bit. That's your homework assignment, kids, for the rest of the day and for tonight. Come back with some with your answers tomorrow. Whose stocks are rising, whose stocks are falling. Give me your stock tips there. So unless you already know it and you want to be ahead of the game there, you can text those on over right now if you'd like, so you don't forget to do that tomorrow. So, or maybe you just won't be listening for whatever reason at that point in time when we do stock reports. So, but send those puppies on over. We'll get to that tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a little sports vigilante. We haven't done that in a little bit, so maybe we'll hit that up tomorrow at some point too. We are getting closer to the NBA draft, which first round, I should say the whole round's Thursday night. Again, how many of you, maybe think about this and we'll save it for tomorrow, but how many of you get excited for the NBA draft? Does anybody get excited for the NBA draft? I mean, the NFL draft is one thing, but I feel like the NBA draft is probably the second most popular. Just, I'm not doing an official poll or anything like that. MLB, Unless you got a player in there that's like, he's going to be in the league within the next couple of years. NHL, maybe kind of the same thing. But how fired up do you usually get for the NBA draft? I used to as a kid. Now, not so much. Especially since so many teams trade away their first-round picks. Whereas the NFL teams value first-round picks more times than not. We'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, DP and Dan, they're up next. Have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll be at it again tomorrow, just past 6.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on WAYY Eau Claire.